Invisible shackles on women and men, breaking free is the mission, but where to begin when the world's your cell and the bars are within?
Economic bondage, dollar signs like prison bars. We're caged by wealth or lack thereof. Financial freedom's bad for health of those profiting off our perpetual debt, modern day slavery. Don't forget minimum wage, maximum rage. We're all on the clock, punching in our life force. As our dreams we hawk to the highest bidder, but we're all confined to the limits of the paradigms we've defined.
We're all reeling time in this global pen. Invisible shackles on women and men, breaking free is the mission, but where to begin when the world's your cell and the bars are within?
Hey, Tom, bonjour. Everyone else, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, thanks so much again for, rekindling the essence and being in our presence to, continue where we left off. I'm going to show a video after Zerilath kind of, brings us up to speed. Marja West, Zerilath Immortal, Tom Althouse. If anyone has anything to say right now, feel free. Les amis, my friends in French. Maybe.
All right. Hey, thank you everyone so much for popping in again. All right, take two, action. So last week we had Tom on. We were supposed to go 3 hours, 20 minutes in. They must have been doing line work on his after the hurricane because he lost it all. And man, you hit me up like later that night and you said, "Dude, I'm ready to jump back in." I'm just like, oh my god, it's like 8 in the morning or something for Derek right now. So your enthusiasm was very encouraging, and we got jumped back on as soon as we could. In that first 20 minutes, we started to cover a bunch of awesome and wild stuff as we were kind of like getting situated to know each other and gearing into the conversation about basically the Hollywood mafia, satanic ritual abuse stuff, because I wanted to open that whole show on the heavy first, and then get into like the weeds about the actual movie as people have understood it. So I had then handed it off to Marja, and then I believe Derek had a clip of what Marja was going to ask you when you had gotten dropped out, right? That's about the size of it.
Yeah, indeed.
Right.
And before I do that, if anyone has anything to share or declare, please, mes frères et sœurs.
Everything's good. If my camera goes on and off throughout the engagement, I'm just dealing with a little bit of traffic.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
That's so funny you're doing the French thing because
yes.
And, I'm also French on my mother's side.
Ah, cool, yeah. Yeah. I'm not even French. I've just been here for like 15 years. It's c'est la vie. But anyways, let's just play this clip. It's only about a minute or two. Marja just went through a wonderful sequence after, Tom, what you brought forth in the introduction for first like 18 minutes of the previous. But glitches in the Matrix or something else. We'll see. That's so cliche, right? Fuck it. Sorry.
It's also right on the fucking nose of the cabal. Marja, why don't you
It's a complete inversion of everything that you set out to do, Tom. And I'm a huge follower of yours. And so some of the podcasts that I have watched where you have like just laid it all out, I am just quite often tears streaming down my face, because it is like you talk about the franchise. It is one big gigantic chaos black magic operation that is still fucking happening, pardon my French, and people are so dumbed down they can't see it. And I've been on numerous podcasts over the decades where it's like, I'm trying to explain this and people look at me like I have three heads and they don't understand the inverted symbology and how the hijacking of human creativity, i.e. your work, i.e. and then harvesting that and turning it into all sorts of things that it was never meant to be. The feeding frenzy still continues on.
Does.
And I am so sorry for your experience. And I think these are important conversations that we need to have, because the way Hollywood does it, they do it on so many different levels, between the writers and the producers, the directors. They're going to dangle these little fame and fortune things, and people are going to fall for it, and they are going to turn on you. They're not just going to turn on you. They're going to actually eat their own. And that's exactly what they do. Everything that you describe. And it is chaos black magic, because the way I work with trauma, there's the mind cage, there is the heart cage, there's the body cage. And these are all aligned with the chakras. And I was actually floored that in the first movie that there was the whole intersection of all of the components that were plugging into people, plugging into the babies. This is how I see the chakra system being hijacked by the powers that want to be, by these fucking demons that want to do these blood ritual. And blood ritual is not just about blood. It is about our creativity. It is about our focused attention. Where are you diverting your attention to? Who has your attention? What has your attention? And people are so busy with the outer reality that they have forgotten who's minding the store of their own mind, heart, and bodies. And, the infiltration gets trickled down, where it's not just about thought control and mind control. It is about the possibility of your third eye and what you can imagine for yourself, what you can imagine for the universe. Okay. And then after that, it goes into our communication. The things that we talk about, the things that are important, the things, our creative spark that we want to share with everybody. And Tom has just gotten bashed completely in all the chakras, and it just keeps continuing. And it just breaks my heart to just really see the extent on a daily basis to which this continues with, the legacy media, with the things that's going on in all of the social media outlets, on X, on the Facebook, on YouTube, etc. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Where's Tom?
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, there he is.
I'm glad you guys are doing this again. So yeah, I wanted to hear what the rest of it was. So thanks for playing that through. That's great.
Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
So wow, but yeah, everything is so much to it. Like the whole idea of controlling who has the influence, controlling the narrative, taking away our creativity, and that's where that silver pen comes into play, where they took that and made that into a mockery within the film. They're actually mocking taking away our creativity in the ripped off version. Yeah. And of course, that's what they're doing, just mocking us through that whole piece. So, yeah.
I know Zerilath had oodles of questions that you've had for what, like decades, man? Like it's insane.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I
old school radio host. So
gone to theater in '99 and been like one of those guys ever since.
Yeah, that's it. Every job,
yeah,
they go for it. Every relationship, they go for it. This is the playbook of their cabal system. Yeah. And the cabal is a multifaceted beast. It has all these different organizations that agree to do wrong, to have power and control. And they say it's all about power. So intellectual property is one of the key arenas they focus on, acquiring that. Yes. Acquiring it, as Still Silver says.
Yes.
And giving it to failed people to dumb it down, which is also part of
it. Now, if I remember correctly from your interviews, and you have some of the tech that is in the Immortals screenplay is also stuff you've you've actually patented it, right? Like, because you have those scientific ideas in you, right?
I was misguided. I thought that when you publish it, it is clearly your work. And so I put it in artistic form. And that's why, as soon as the case was thrown, Warner Brothers and Disney and the rest went and put on the post of the patent office Neuralink, even calling it the same thing. Basically, they slapped it on. It wasn't even us that put it on there. It was
they pulled an Einstein on you.
Yeah, and they didn't even write it out well. They didn't understand it. So all they said was basically a cord, braided cord, will go to the back of the neck and interact with human. That's all they put on.
It activates the mind cage completely. It's just unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah,
in all manner of esotericism, the back of the neck right there, that's always this access point.
Yeah,
exactly. And that came to me, which is really interesting because it came to me because I actually had a hole there on that back of my neck. It's still there. And it's like I would touch it and I thought, what if you could link it that way? So that was basically divine creativity coming through and letting me know that's where it needs to be. Now people have tattoos on the back of their neck.
Yeah.
And like a portal, and now they want to instantly institute it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, it's a siphoning off intersection point, because what it does, the throat center actually connects the mind cage to the heart cage, which gets connected to the body cage. When they have control of each one of those cages, you're completely fucked, which is why it is so important that your story gets repeated again and again and again to different platforms, because in doing so, what you're doing, Tom, is you are actually deactivating every bit of their spell casting.
Good point.
And this is it's so important and critical. And along the way, we all have to be very, very discerning as to who gets to intersect and interject with us, because their fuckeries are everywhere. They are everywhere, and it's totally designed for them. No matter what it is that we do, they get to harvest our energy. And now we are all involved. So actually, before we started, I did a whole sealing ritual to seal the space between all of us so that there is no interference. And so that's an important thing. And so the courage that it takes for you, Tom, to day in and day out, to not just prevail, but to survive the harm, the unbelievably evil harm that you have suffered all these years. I mean, I'm just like, wow. So I feel like it is really important for all of us here to understand these people don't fuck around. They know exactly what they are doing, and they are misleading people on purpose to harvest their luge, and to also distract, divide and conquer, and get hungry artists to go to war with one another and throw each other under the bus.
You just nailed it completely. Everything you just said is spot on, complete. And from my perspective, what you go through on my end is just like as the character they named Neo Thomas A, right? They named it my name because they said they were putting me in my own movie. The thing that makes it toughest for me is the only way you can go on to finish the fight is if it matters. If it matters to people. And so they try to tell you over and over, no one cares, no one's interested, the story's used up, don't even make it. And they have Sophia Stewart, that claims to be the Mother Matrix, calling me and telling me that. And I'm like, well, if it doesn't matter, I was ready to burn the other 16 screenplays because I thought I'm not going to bring them into a world. My two sons have died, and I'm never going to see them if it doesn't matter to anybody, you know? And that's the thing, like you said, divide and conquer and make us insulated and cut off, make us feel like nobody cares, like we're in a dungeon, nobody cares.
And we do care. We do care. And this is important because this is why they keep coming at you, because they know that you're onto it. You're not just onto it. You are not just telling a vast story that is the truth. You are actually giving a roadmap to the way out.
Exactly.
And they don't fucking like it. They don't like it. And they don't like that there are other people that are like,
That is spot on. This was written to whisper through art, to be a way out of the cave. And what's interesting is they took it, dumbed it down, re-rendered it and everything. And then what they did by coming at me is they filled in all the blanks. Then I got to understand exactly how they all work. And then at that point, when the fame is gone, when they divert the attention to some other group that's failed, then no one's listening anymore. So here you are in a better position to tell the story, and no one's tuned in.
That's
what it feels like.
And the Wachowskis are complete, utter distraction. They are they're not even relevant, but people fall for it because of the sort of woke Maoism that's just like overrun the world. So,
they're groomed and decorated to distract and take your attention. And even the idea of them being not that bright is supposed to be a mirror to audiences and the public saying, you're not bright either. And like as if they're the brightest and you're not bright. And that's what they're trying to say is that again, that's the idea of having the influence and the power. And when they called me, when Disney execs called me and I recorded that call, they said that, when I said, why are you doing this to me? They said, because you dared to face us down. Then they said, you have to understand, it's all about power. That's what they said. Disney said.
They know. They know it. Yeah.
They're the ones steering the kids. So it's like, when you go to the amusement park, think about it. It's all about power for them. Nothing else. They said, I have to understand that.
And distraction.
They've hijacked it. They've hijacked it completely. Going back to the split, the polarization between red pill and blue pill. It was a no-brainer for me. I saw right through that shit, and I'm like, wow, they're parading their blood ritual bullshit in front of us, bar none, and everybody is falling for it. And
that's how it's pitched.
It just blew me away, and I was thinking, wow, okay.
It was pitched, like the story treatment explained it. It was pitched that the blood of the children was used to make the red pill.
Yeah.
And they went and put it as the good pill.
Yeah. Amazing. And what's happened with that red pill is that it has infiltrated and hijacked every truth movement that I've been involved with. The whole red pill notion, it's been an absolute one shit show after another of totalitarian lunacy, where if you're not a sycophant and a yes person and you just kiss ass to these people that are high on their stupid power trips, you're out. So, so I know a little bit about the plagiarism. I know a little bit about getting deplatformed. I've been off YouTube. I've gotten kicked off. I've had my own work plagiarized, paraded on Amazon in my name. I didn't make a dime. Right. I have the copyrights. They don't give a shit about any legal stuff, any copyrights. It took them 10 years to take it down. No one cared. And but the thing is that I had to turn around my attitude and just realize, people have that. They have that information, and I just have to blow it off. But my point is, by telling the story and telling your story and being utterly clear, outing every one of these freaking players, it's important, because then they actually get to lose power.
Exactly. They're interlocked, and they're trying to make it overwhelming where there's no way to take them down when they're united and dividing the rest of us. And that's what I've been wrestling with too. How do you approach that legally? How do you address, if I filed a lawsuit, it would be against 1,000 people in the cabal that are all engaged in this. And that's how they do it. They make it so your legal system is neutered and basically a tool for them. And you're absolutely right. And what's interesting is, if you want to see, they mock in the films, right? They mock in their own films, and they give you the actual information. That's why in Men in Black, they say, if you want to know the real news, read the tabloids. Well, in a sense, they're actually right. They're actually putting that stuff in mockery form in these films. And one of the things, like if you watch Tropic Thunder, right? Tropic Thunder, take a look at Les Grossman, which is a joke name, playing off of Joel Silver, the one that was the franchise that he took from me. And in it, Les Grossman does that whole thing. If you play it, you can see it where he's talking to Matthew McConaughey saying, you know, listen, you do this, you're going to be rich, all this stuff, have a plane, all this stuff. And he's doing this like dance kind of thing. And Matthew's character says, let me get this straight. You're saying if I let my friend die, you'll give me, and he says, yes, and lots of money. And then he starts dancing. So that is exactly how they are. Yeah. All about that kind of ruthlessness, power. And then he said, Les Grossman's character says this, and it's there for a reason. He says, you can have all this, or you can grow a conscience in the next 10 minutes and see where that gets you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that something? It's right in our face.
Right
in our face. I was told I would never be on the inside. I would never get anything. I'd always be broken because I cared too much. Meanwhile, they're slamming all over the place that you're egotistical, maniac, dangerous and crazy, haul you off the spot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not in the door because I care too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say.
Well, you're not a psychopath.
Yeah.
My question that was running through my mind is that like in Hollywood, when you're a writer, isn't there like a screenwriters guild or something like that? Where you
don't give a shit. They don't. I was a member. They don't give a shit.
That they don't.
There's a trick there too, though. I did register with the Writers Guild. I've got the packet and everything, but after 10 years, vamos, and that's when they took it. Yeah. After 10 years, they take it. So what's interesting is Warner Brothers has no copyright on Matrix title. They said that clearly. That's why Sophia Stewart came in as a paralegal and claimed the title, because they didn't claim the title. Well, she didn't write anything. She just claimed what was open there because nobody was claiming it way after the film was made. Immortals is what they were copyrighting. And there was a question about, does this guy have the book? Not right now. My whole thing has been trying to survive, keep my last son alive. They kept me on my toes with that. Sophia Stewart has her book. It doesn't have anything in it except her court documents where she lost her case and all this stuff where Warner Brothers has helped her write it. In fact, she says, the one that claims to be the mother of the Matrix, that calls and mocks all the time about the death of my sons, she claims that the FBI is protecting her and no one will ever mess with her because the FBI is going to protect her. Well, the FBI doesn't protect me. The FBI comes at me, and they're involved in the theft process with Hollywood and part of the cabal. So they're protecting Sophia Stewart because she's brought in by Warner Brothers as an in-house witch. So I haven't even gotten to the book yet after all this. It's all been survival, and they make sure you're jumping because if you get a job, it's taken. Someone wants to date you, they're approached. It's like
this is the body cage, heart and body cage. You know, after they steal your creativity, they work down to your emotions, to your personal power, to your family, to your friends, to your environment, to your health, to your body, with threats, that they will make good on it.
Exactly. And do I have a book? I have something better. I've got a screenplay, a shooting screenplay, written in shooting form. This is ready to shoot on set. It's got interior shots, exterior descriptions, character breakdowns, everything capped. It's a shooting script. I wrote a shooting script. 128 pages, it comes out to 128 minutes, which has everything in it from red pills, blue pills, jacks the neck, little girl train station, squiddies, identical figures facing off the end. It's all here. Train station scene, liquid mirrors, it's all here. So a shooting script is better than a book. A shooting script is better than it's just a regular script. It means that you're ready to go on set. Everything's there. It was laid out for them, but they had a problem. How do you steal a shooting script? Because it's supposed to, usually they take from a book, right? They'll have a book and they'll go off the book because it's proven work. Why in heaven or hell would they take a shooting script that's not proven and take that on set, right? And have to steal off a shooting script and change it? Well, the only way they could do it was the Wachowskis, in their lack of intellect, came up with the idea to do a visual storyboard. So take the visual storyboard in one hand. And I was told by, Brian Martin, one of the fight choreographers on set, that yes, this was on set. 20-foot rule, you can't be within 20 feet because if you're in 20 feet, you'll be able to read it and see it. So 20 feet, you're fired. So this is on set with a 20-foot rule? Yeah, think about that. A 20-foot rule.
Wow.
Code name, The Science Project. While they're copyrighting the Immortals title. And then Sophia Stewart will throw into you that it's fraud, that's a forgery. The PAU number's right there. The PAU number, look it up at the Copyright Office. You'll see the work right there. Good try, Sophia Stewart. Sophia Stewart will also tell you the red pill's the good pill based on the blood of children. Blue pill's the bad. So a visual storyboard's in one hand, this script's in the other, and they make it up on set as they go along, trying to save on the budget. That's why the train station scene is reduced not to a crowd, but one static family of a well-dressed Indian couple, which doesn't make sense. They're supposed to be poor and impoverished. That's why they're going to put their kid in the program. If you're well off, why are you putting your kid in the program? All these things are made up as they go along, and then the audacity, when everyone said, oh, so it's a disjointed story, including Joel Silver, just blow it up. And they actually were so stupid to say in interviews, everyone said to blow it up. We kept the same ending. Same ending of what? Same ending of this. Identical figures facing off, little girl from train station, reuniting, hugging, pointing to the sun. They kept the same ending. You think there's no way we could lose? Western Division Court, in their pocket, they brag about it. You will not have anything entered. They'll block everything. They'll make sure they have their own attorney handling you, and they'll have a handoff attorney ready and a judge ready to switch out if they need to. You will have a summary judgment, even though you have all the evidence, including the copyright, where they don't, even though they admit they have no working drafts, they'll still win because the judge will block everything. He'll take it in summation. Taking it in summation means he's unsure of how to decide. He needs to take a month or so to have help decide. So if you need to take it in summation, how in the hell can you come up with the idea that there's no triable issues, and after about 20 days, we're going to say no contest with prejudice? What?
Wow.
How are you going to rule with prejudice if you took it in summation, which means you're unsure and have to have help to decide? That means there's triable issues that you're uncertain about what to do, and a summary judgment requires that there's no triable issues whatsoever. And a big triable issue might be the guy has the copyright, they don't. The guy has it all written out, they have no working draft submitted on tape. The guy actually has the tape of the actual guy he pitched it to in New York with Bonaventura saying, yes, you were here and you pitched it. I think we have a case.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, people look up online and say, oh, this guy lost in court. It was
these courts, like there almost is no actual, true, proper Article 3 constitutional republic court in this country. And if there was, a matter like this goes to contract court under corporate entity. Those courts, those judges, they're all there to make money. It's all a grift for the bar association.
Exactly, and they're appointed. They're appointed. Federal judges are appointed and then beholden to those that made their career. They're going to give back. In fact, Robertson said about Gary Klausner, Judge Gary Klausner in District 9, he said that the reason he formed the Law and Justice Center and with Bush appointed Gary Klausner was so that Gary Klausner would make decisions favorable to Robertson so he'd no longer be a second-class citizen. He called it conservative decisions. That's not a court. That's think of the reasoning. He wants more decisions in his favor. He argued to counterweigh all the decisions that were liberally based. Well, that's not judging on evidence at all. That's simply saying, let's change the scorecard so that, okay, we each have a case. That's 4 more points for me, Robertson would say. I'm just going to say right away, judge say no, 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 no. Now we're balancing the scales. Now we have more decisions in our favor. That's not a court process.
It's a circle jerk. I mean, it really is. They're all getting off on each other, and we get to watch them do it.
You know what? You're right. And
disgusting.
Sophia Stewart's summary judgment was 65 pages long, spelling out everything that was wrong with her. Mine was a page and a half. You took it in summation, it's a page and a half, because they don't want to go into all the evidence, all the matchups. Jack's the neck. I would say Jack's the back of the neck would be a matchup, which is a triable issue. It only takes one to go to trial. I'd be before a jury. Yeah. Instead, you look at their own news sources saying he lost, and they're calling it a cross between Christ and Hitler or something. It's like if you look at the piece, the actual piece is the Matrix story completely. It has everything from, like I said, everything in the train station scene, everything, pills, Jack the neck, everything's in here. And what you have in the end is even the oracle's in here. And you have the Smith and Neo's characters facing off. They're all in here. But what they do is they spin it in the media. And their own expert witness I'm supposed to pay $60,000 to Dr. Rose, who's their inside go-to guy.
Jeez.
$60,000 for him to write a page and a half also. And in it he said, Tom Althouse created a fantastic world. But it didn't have to be entered because they were throwing the case on a summary judgment. It's mind-boggling. So I also say $60,000 to him to write that my work was great. Yeah.
Wow.
Legalese.
Wow.
Holy shit.
All my sons are murdered.
Yeah.
And they tell me on the phone that, yeah, your sons were murdered. And and it's if it's a favor, your last son's alive because we know you're concerned for his safety. So they're basically saying to me as the author, your son Aiden, right, is alive because it's like Les Grossman scene. You grew a conscience, Tom. So your last son's alive by us, our kindness, unless you stir the waters, unless you try to face us down and claim your work again. And that's when my son at 8 years old at the time said, Dad, you finished this. He knew his brothers were killed. He said, Dad, you keep going. If anything happens to me, you keep going. He's the target. And then if he goes, they will fulfill what Spielberg laid out in Minority Report in 2002. Captain John Anderton, my dad's rank, dad's name, in Minority Report, which is altered from Philip K. Dick's novel completely, where you don't have a Captain John Anderton, not a captain. You don't have a son dying in it. Not read Philip Dick's original novel. Philip Dick's novel doesn't have a son dying, and certainly doesn't have a son dying named Sean, which after Spielberg made it about pre-crime, my son Sean was murdered. And I was hauled off to be put away for life, which happens to Tom Cruise's character after his son Sean is murdered, which is the pre-crime, because they said he's going to commit a crime because his son is murdered. They altered Philip K. Dick's novel, say in 2002, Spielberg committed a pre-crime. Captain John, my dad's rank and name, would be put into stasis forever because Sean had been murdered. Nothing to do with Phil K. Dick.
Wow.
Yeah. That's something. Spielberg.
I got something because, Mari, if you don't mind, like, why in the fuck are they so obsessed with, this one piece? I mean, you're probably not the only one, but, it just seems like, what you've written and what's been hijacked from it seems to be the linchpin of a lot of things that could be a cascade effect of negative consequences if the truth is revealed and exposed for what the fuck it actually is 100%, right? So
one of the things I said when I was writing it is I'd like to dismantle the FBI. That it's a rogue agency, what I learned from the inside from that point on. So what's going on, that's just one. Also was revealing what Pat Robertson's plan was with the cabal, how they're going to bring about a one world order. It's happening right now with the longevity program. Great question. Also, in it was all this brand new tech. You think they want to let that go? That's worth a fortune. Neuralink.
Humanism Rising?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Surrey, iPod, all it's in there. So what you have is Surrey is in the original work before Surrey came out. So in 1990, you have a full description of Surrey. And why is Surrey in here? Because our Neo character, is so broken over the loss of his wife that he reprograms everything, his home, his Neuralink, everything to her voice so he can feel like she's still there.
Yeah.
Our character is flawed. He's broken. And that's the way they have me in my own story now. But the thing is that he has conversations with his own wife's memory.
Yeah.
And that she activates everything for him in a very caring voice and even consoles him. A Surrey. It's right here. Yeah. So the tech is worth a fortune. They want to control that. The story, they said the 190 iconic things they claimed, that we found as matchups. They said everything's been done under the sun and everything else was rehash. Things off of other things. They said you wrote a shooting script which had brand new ideas that they said were really cool, but they didn't understand. So they dolled it down for the public. This is supposed to be a gift to the world, to bring the world together. Even Barbara Walters said in the interview that the Wachowskis didn't show up at because they didn't want to have to talk about what they didn't create. They hated the work, they said.
The Wachowskis, what?
The Wachowskis didn't even show. Yeah, they didn't show up to the Barbara Walters interview. They had the A-list actors there in their place because they were, Joel Silver said, embarrassed to talk about it because they hated the work, because they didn't understand the work, and they hated to have to explain the work. So what happened was Barbara Walters said her favorite bit about it was the underground city, which we have, where all ethnicities and groups are there, all faiths, all walks are there, and they're all in harmony. She said that was her favorite thing. Wachowskis weren't even there to receive the compliment for my work. But the interesting thing was the actors there were talking about the 20-foot rule and that they were not allowed to put any inputs in or say anything because the Wachowskis were frustrated on set, making up as they go along with the visual storyboard. It wasn't working so well. Working off the visual storyboard, working off the original script. And so what they did in a juvenile manner, if I may, is filled in what they're familiar with as they went along. Ergo, Dark City, Alice in Wonderland, the Train Man from Ghost. How many things do you see in the Matrix that you can say, well, this came from this came from that? However, Wachowski's in the first graphic, they only put this author's birthday, high school, dad's name, fiance's birthday, name as the character in the column TA 4099 when I was 40.
I've been thinking about this scene for a hot minute in another piece of Disney. After listening to one of your interviews where you told us where you got the idea for Zion, which was part of your entire inspiration down the line that created the Immortals with the page of the Bible. Right? Well, that was reminding me in Loki season 2, the Victor Timely super genius character who creates the time Nazis in the liminal space of reality. He is in a causal loop where one of his agents keeps throwing him his own technical manual to become the genius who then will go back in time to give him his own technical manual while he's like 9 years old or something working on like metallurgy or something like that, right? And so it just gets thrown in the window while he's working, has no idea where it came from, and it sets him on course to be like the Archon of all reality.
Right. And that, like you said, that Zion thing, that was my Isaac Newton apple. When that fell, it was just like, wow, what is possible? Let's relook at everything. Let's relook at religion. Let's relook at everything. And maybe we don't know really anything yet. Maybe we are all just trying to guess, and it's yet to come. And maybe we should be open what's yet to come. And that opened a whole nother world. And from that mindset, you can get new things under the sun, where they believe everything's under the sun. What they do is they'll take from something, like they did in Lost or Man in the High Castle. They'll take from something, they'll go down the trail, and it seems cool, and they start to lose their thread. And so they put in what they're familiar with, their easy get out of jail free cards in their writing blocks. And like, that's what happens in Matrix. In Matrix, when they said, everybody, just blow it up, what did they have enter in at the end to wrap it up? And I think Joel Silver's the one that suggested it, because it wasn't just going off my exact screenplay for the ending isn't going to make it work, Wachowskis. Everybody on set, as you said, knew it's not going to work. And Joel Silver knew it wasn't going to work. So the compromise was they brought down this bug ball, which was actually called the Greek name for the being that ends a tragedy when you don't know how to end it. You just bring in a god figure to wrap it up because you don't know how to end it. They actually did it and called it by its name. So they're saying this ex deuce making out or whatever, they're calling it the device to wrap up when we don't know how to end it.
Right.
They're naming it that exact name. Think of it.
Machine God, they love their transhumanist deity, right? Or they want people they see that into the consciousness in a sense as well.
Yeah, it's the nihilist underthread of their stripping down of your story.
Right. It's like in also exactly. It's like this. You got a term paper due tomorrow, right? You got a term paper due tomorrow. I think a lot of us know what that feels like, right? And you are not even halfway, right? So what are you going to do? Right? What do the Wachowskis do? Throw in a God figure and wrap it up. We don't know how to end it. That's why there was that argument on set with everyone. Forget the 20-foot rule. They're all going like, just blow it up. For God's sake, just blow it up. The story's a mess now. Just blow it up. No, we're going to keep the exact ending of the script in hand that you're not allowed 20 feet within. And we're going to end it the same way. So just get on set and end it this way. Okay, now she's going to come up. She's going to hug and point to the sun. And and then there's going to be this pulse wave coming out that turns the earth green again and renews her. Just do it. There's your set of the Matrix.
Wow.
It doesn't work. And now what's going on in Matrix 5 is they're bringing in new writers. They're bringing in new writers. The Wachowskis aren't going to be involved in that, except as an executive producer to throw them a bone. You don't have creative license. You're not going to do anything creatively. You're going to sit there and soak up more money, but you're not in the creative crisis because you failed so bad. But think of it. If they owned it, why is another writer being brought in? Just like what was done in Assassins, which kicked this whole thing off. In Assassins back in 1995, the Wachowskis threw that fit because another writer was brought in by Dino Laurentiis, who has copyright on the Immortals also. Yeah. And so he brings another writer in because the Wachowskis were doing so bad, and the Wachowskis lost it, went all the way to the Writers Guild, like you said, the Writers Guild. And they said, you have to, Writers Guild West, you have to stay there, you're under contract. So they were very angry. And Joel Silver gave them the Science Project to play game. And they made a mess of that in the same form and fashion. It's only supposed to be one movie. Not when you take the thread of the story out, it can go forever. Do you ever get lost in a term paper where you're trying to write something and you're just distracted, you're off track, and you suddenly have all these pages of nonsense? That's what happened.
So that's why it seems like, after the first movie, that was like the golden egg that, really, leached off of as many ideas from your original works as possible. And then that's why, everything else after that was, a real degradation from that.
Very good. The visual storyboard was a checklist visually of everything they wanted to put in, out of order. And that's why, think of it, how many films, when they're shot on set, have a trailer piece shot, not a trailer, but a extra work shot, the Animatrix, to what? Use up the rest of the story, Joel Silver said. So all the iconic images from this screenplay, when they kept the same thing that they had in the storyboard, they checked off on the storyboard that they did not use up, they made into shorts into the Animatrix. Think of that. Falling from the sky and landing right before the ground and your nosebleeds is in here, Animatrix.
Yeah.
From the Dream movie. Wow. Remember what he said about why Neo flies and they go in the phone booth? Not in here. The Dream movie has the flying to escape. They put it in, but they want to use up the rest of the Dream movie, Animatrix. They want to mock the author one final time, Tom Althouse across the screen in the Animatrix. What's also in the Animatrix? What they do for the final sting in the Animatrix? The exact birthday of the author on the clock, filling the screen, the detective story, 7259. That's also in the Animatrix.
Wow.
They picked the worst people on the planet to re-render the work. It's like taking Einstein's theories and giving them to Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said they pulled an Einstein on you. He worked for the patent office. It's well theorized, that he probably stole half of his ideas, including theory of relativity.
Good point. That's why I added in what you said. And it's like, why they give it to the Wachowskis, first of all? We just went down this trail, right, the rabbit hole. Why give it to failed writers? It's a valid question, right? Because you're taking failed writers that'll do anything.
Yeah.
They'll do anything to get the fame, money, fame, women they were promised. They were promised women like they were a commodity, right? Yeah. And that makes me mad.
Yeah.
And why? Because then they have people in-house to steal the work. They're in-house. So Warner Brothers, they say if they make you, they can break you. Their work is in-house. They just took the screenplay and took it in-house. That's why you get failed writers. See? That's why. Makes sense. And you've just cheated the entire population. A generation has lived and died, never understanding what it really meant, being fed the garbage, the vomit that the Wachowskis shoved down the throats of public. And believe me, if any writer actually writes something and it's theirs, they'll do interviews and they'll talk about it. They'll go out there and talk about it if asked, if it's there to make a difference, if it's there to be a gift to the world, if it's there to warn about what's coming. Do you think we're going to be silent? But if you didn't write it and you hate the work because you don't understand it, and you got an ego the size of Manhattan with your brother, and you sound like idiots and are on drugs, and you don't know what's going on, I think I'll skip the interviews until that author is destroyed and his sons are dead and you have total control and you're guaranteed by a case that was thrown, everything blocked with prejudice, even though all the tribal issues are there. Now you'll do interviews. Because they said in the media they were like whorehounds for the media after the case. Now they can steal again with impunity. Does it bother me? Yeah. One of the big things that bothered me the most is my son's under threat still. My last living son. And I'm taking a risk by talking. But you know what? Guys are worth it. We are all worth it. And I'm not stupid. I know the only way we're going to succeed as a species is if we all rise together. So I'm not dumb. I'm kind of doing this for myself and for you because we all rise together. And I want that better world together.
Yeah.
And one of the things I like to do is celebrate together. And I don't, if I made it all and took it all, I don't want to celebrate by myself. And I certainly don't want the crowds that Hollywood attracts.
What is the, I think like, for my mind thinks that like probably a great deal of this could be stopped if just the general public had a little bit more awareness of the trouble they can be getting themselves into, right? Because, you know, naive people end up on the casting couch, so on and so forth. What, you know, like, what would be your advice of things to avoid if you are trying to get involved in doing stuff in the, you know, I don't know, in whichever way, and you know, like just don't deal with these agencies, don't deal with these systems, do it this way or create a new way, or what do you say? Because I want to starve the beast of the douche.
Let me do an end run on that. Let me go for the goal on an end run.
All right.
We'll line back that one. So as I see it is, we realize first of all, the people in power and the cabal in Hollywood are morons. They're idiots. They're dried up. They actually believe there's nothing new under the sun. They have no creative value at all. No creativity. First of all, realize that. So therefore, they are fat middlemen that are unnecessary. When you realize that and they're afraid of that, and even in Game of Thrones, they said, you know, they're afraid of the masses realizing that the royalty isn't needed anymore. You don't have to feed them and work your fields and give it away to them. They're not doing anything. They're not necessary. They don't help you at all. You can do a lot better without them. When we realize that the Hollywood powers are morons, like that Les Grossman character in Tropic Thunder, which portrays Joel Silver, then we realize, let's do it on our own without them. They try to divide us. They try to separate us. If we formed studios, a bunch of us, I'm in. We make this work. They said if this work is made, just this one piece out of all the ones out there that have been taken, they'll fall apart. The public will know. Look at the date on it. This version right here is time-stamped 1998. When was Matrix done? 1999, the first installment. So this was done before it, and they had this in hand. And I don't know if I showed you that. I think I sent it to you. About Tom Hanks being ordered and commissioned by Warner Brothers and HBO to write it in 1999. He was ordered and commissioned to give a certificate of authorship for the Immortals. And the letter from the executive from Warner Brothers to Sophia Stewart says, we're not claiming the Matrix, we're claiming the Immortals. We make the film, they lost. My vision, my hope, as written in the original piece, The Code of the Matrix, is to bring together talented, compassionate, cross-disciplines, people from cross-disciplines to change our world. That still stands. No matter how much Joel Silver said on set in 2003, we hope we used up the rest of the story. Well, obviously they think they can use up more of Matrix 5. But the thing is, or at least get it right this time, we can take the reins. We don't have to use their car. We can get out of their car and start our own Maserati.
Mm-hmm. That's why I asked about the
I agree.
Yeah, that's why I asked about like the table read, right? Because I think you said your source, your script, you wanted to open source it. So you know, like if
I would agree to that, because I don't want it in the general public because they don't get to have the experience. And I mean that. They have to have the experience. I did not write this to whisper through art, to change our world so that we can just have people read pages across the planet. But if we do a table session to prepare to make it, yes, whoever will attend that, welcome. Let's open this up and let's take a look for ourselves. And one of the games they play too is the non-naysay game. I have submitted script pages to people that have claimed that they were going to help, and they'll go, I don't see the train station scene, because they're insiders. I'm like, you don't see the train station scene? It says train station scene. I don't see it. Page 55, you don't see it? No, I don't see it. They're just going to play with you that way.
Yeah.
While having your material and free discovery. So I'd be totally down for a table session.
Yeah, that's great. Marja, did you want to say something real quick?
I'm just floored. I'm floored. And I'm floored because in my practice, I have actually worked with quite a number of Hollywood potentials who were all not just abused, but gaslit, destroyed, discredited, part of, the Writers Guild. I find the Writers Guild to be a portal for hijacking creativity, where you go to these pitch sessions and, you don't get your script back. Where does it end up? And sooner or later, your ideas are going to end up on the screen by some random person, and it's got your stuff all over. I feel dirty. I feel dirty right now. Like, I was thinking, God, I need a shower. I feel like I stink, because the emanations of this, and this is overall an overarching trauma-based mind control, chaos, black magic, spellcasting that has been going on for decades. And between the threats to your person, to your family members, the murders of your sons, I'm just like, I want to fight. I mean, there's a part of me that is like feeling enraged. And here's the thing about that. Rage is great to an extent.
Right.
However, when you're dealing with these people, these demons, they eat it all up. They eat it all up. So I think your strategy in terms of, just staying really, really, really focused, and also just forget the criminal justice system. That's what it is. It's a justice system for fucking criminals. And to be able to stealthily, just kind of waltz in and out of their realms without actually engaging their shitstones, I think is the way to go. So I like what you're talking about in terms of, open sourcing everything. I'm not quite sure how that would how to go about that. But I like that.
We would pick a group of people that agreed upon that would then do a table session. That's what we do. Yeah. Just like you do with like the other play I have that's greenlighted for Off-Broadway. It's like you have a table session. And it was actually Disney that controlled that one. They had me come to Manhattan. And we did a table read and everything. And the one actress from New York was like, I got to be in this, and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, okay, pick a theater. And when you're in the Cabal, of course, they're going to greenlight it right away. In the situation in Manhattan, they were like, I said, just pick any theater, Off-Broadway theater. Yeah. So I picked the, what was it called? Oh God, I forgot it now all of a sudden. That's weird. But it's like, it'll come to me. But it's like number one Off-Broadway theater. And she had me submit the script to them. And I thought, submit the whole script? Usually I only want 10 pages. No, the whole script. Within like 30 days, I got a letter back saying, You've been greenlighted for the off-Broadway show here. Our team laughed out loud. We found it a delight. That's the cabal working for you. That's Disney working for you. That usually doesn't happen to people. But what's interesting is if we do have a reading, like you're saying, if we find a way to get invested or make it, they know they're going to lose. They're going to lose if it's shown to the public. The court of public opinion sees that everything's there before they made the Matrix. It's all there. What the Wachowskis are making up off of. And you'll see it like Solomon's baby. Here's that Maserati, and here's that chop-shopped Volkswagen Lincoln, that they made out of the piece. Yeah. And you'll see how how it compares. They don't want a comparison.
Yeah.
But I wanted to read. Did I read this before the story treatment? One paragraph. Did I read the paragraph?
Yeah. I was getting ready to start asking you kind of like moving into like the script kind of stuff. Yeah. So go ahead.
This story treatment, what's interesting is during the process of, ripping off in the court process, they actually had the attorney come to my home that was pretending to represent me, the one that had a suspended license. And he said he had to take a call. It's a Saturday. He said, I got to take a call in my own dining room. I got to take a call. I'm like, what? So you need to leave the room. Leave the room? In my own house. After he saw all the evidence on the table and on the floor around him, he got a call. It was from Warner Brothers. So I walk out and he takes my poor man patent, which if you know what that is, that's a script inserted into a mailer to yourself to open in court. He opens it, rips out the full screenplay, puts in some scribbled notes, takes this right here, a version of this, rips off the first page and receives the envelope. Now, why did he rip off the first page? Because it was showing the back of the page with a notarized statement. They didn't want the notarized statement.
Holy shit.
So when it opened in court, it was missing its first page. Throughout the whole court deposition of 7.5 hours, they couldn't find it. Now get this. She says, my own attorney, they go, well, he has this packet, let's open it now. No, wait, before he opens it, let's just open it here before we're on record. Okay, wow. So, and then it's like, it's missing. I saw right away the script was gone. And then they go like this. I said, what's wrong? It's like, well, it's missing the notarized statement. It's missing all this stuff. And actually I have a footage of the videographer at the court that had this and had it on record for me and saved it for me. And you hear my attorney go like this, let's get it out of Althouse's hands before he has a chance to go through it. And why don't you take it and make a copy of it out of the room, lead attorney for Warner Brothers. Think of that. Make a copy of it before your client has a chance to see what's there. And then you can come back and bring it back before it's on record. Right? They were trying to find the notarized statement first page by pulling out the first page missing. And I said it's on the back of it, so they were looking for it. At the end of the deposition, they go like this. Lead attorney, Warner Brothers. Wait, first of all, she comes back from, having it, which I already had on record because the tape recorder's running, but yeah, this was missing. She comes back from the copy center there in their offices, this high-end offices, and says this, it's on record, on the tape. I used to make fun of people that couldn't work copy machines, but I got to tell you, I copied the first 3 pages and I forgot how to work it because they didn't want to show that this was missing. They're going to reinsert it. It was there after the theft. It was in their offices, but they couldn't find it to reinsert it. So at the end of the deposition, stay with me on this. She says, we're out of time, but listen, I got to get something really important from my office. Their pages are going off at the same time. The attorney with a planted one and hers. Then she goes, Mr. Rankin, why don't you stretch your legs right now and I'll go to my office and get this important thing. They leave together. Then you hear them, Rankin enters. Rankin enters with this page reinserted. They found it, reinserted it, and he starts screaming at me. This is what was in the packet. This is what was submitted by James Boyd of Norfolk. This is what, it was just scribbled notes and this, that's it. I'm just trying to understand. Screaming at his client after 7.5 hours who has the flu and is exhausted, right? So then they say, she comes back in. Never had anything back from her office, according to her. Never found anything that was so important that she had to go get. And Rankin says, let's get him back on record and say this is what was there. And so there, I'm exhausted. I'm going, well, this is what was there right now. They go to say that claimed that that's what was in the packet. I'm saying it wasn't. And then they tell this one more time. I got to show you this because I never talked about this before. Then we'll read this one excerpt. And thanks for letting me do this. It's very emotional for me. How they railroad you. A guy with a suspended license and his classmate from University of Berkeley. Now, get this. Anne Sophia Stewart's handler was there, Chilton. Keep in mind, the court reporter and the videographer both came up at the half break and said, I said, this must be really boring for you. They said, no, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating story. It's an honor to meet you. That's how a jury would have responded if Judge Klausner had done his job and not just been an appointee. Then they said this. You're going to have a chance to review your screenplay or your deposition anyway, your transcript. Anybody that's in court knows this is supposed to be a policy, right? Due process. You'll be able to do this. And then Rankin says, yeah, you'll just be able to enter in a code and just go over it. So don't worry about it. And then Linda Burrows, his classmate, says something from Warner Brothers, says something weird that the court reporter catches. She goes something like, we'll just go with the normal ways outside the normal, it's just mumbo jumbo. And he goes, wait, isn't he supposed to be able to, no, we're just going to go with a normal procedure. Here's what they did. Get this, how far they went. And thanks for letting me explain this. I get a message from Rankin afterwards and says, they're not going to let you review your court thing. The court reporter's not going to let you have it. Blames the court reporters, saying they're not going to let you review it. And if you want to review it, it's going to cost you $1,000 to fly to California. And then you'll have to pay the firm to let you see it, to review your testimony, to correct it, that was the poor man's patent that had a full script in it. I'm like, what? You said all
wow.
And guess what, ladies and gentlemen?
Unreal.
What really happened? The court reporters contacted me after the fact. They had sent a letter to Rankin saying that it was ready for their client to review, for his client to review. He blocked the letter to me, addressed to me, never gave it to me. Instead said they weren't going to let me see it and it would cost $1,000 to see it. The court reporters had prepared and let me see it. So you know what they did? They gave me a free copy of my deposition because of how blatantly Rankin and them, but it's too late. Too late.
Wow.
So what was on this thing that was so important? If you go to the pages here, listen to this. Okay. Where's this one? Oh, here we go right here. I want to read this. First of all, 2 points right away. I hope I didn't read this first time that I'm redundant here, but let me know if I did. But it's like they said there's no Jackson Neck in my work, right? No Jackson Neck. They made a big point of that right away because they're with Elon Musk. They want to give him the tech, right? And protect him. So this is before they put it on the patent office. They're making sure I can't do anything about it. So before Elon gets to have that spiked by cronies at the patent office, they're saying, you don't have any jacks the neck, admit it. Well, we'll see in this little clip, do I have jacks the neck? You don't have agents, robot-like agents. Well, we'll see in this little paragraph if we don't have that. This is the one dated from 1992, January 1992, right there. Now listen to what it says. Anti-aging drug is perfected, the program. At an underground facility, generators hum, technicians scurry around large number of bulky containers, the field of pots. They are freezing units, each preserving a body from World War II Germany. The architect, Hitler, now aged scientist, experiment with the regeneration of the frozen bodies of Jews and lower-ranking Nazis. That's who the architect was from. I made a historic figure. So they mock me for that. But now it's all about that. You know, Spielberg and all the rest are all about it now. So as a regeneration process can be perfected without endangering the top 100 in that field of pods. A secondary, which matches the primary of the architect that he wants to bring back, the primaries, dies due to improper warming of the lungs, which burst. Another dies after a few seconds of agony in a world he will never know. Remember Neo coming back with all the tubes attached, sputtering one by one, they're being brought back in the agony? Here it is. After more adjustments, some are successfully, but painfully regenerated. Remember the scene with Neo. being lifted. Think of that visual storyboard, lifting it off, lifting it off, lifting it off, making it stupid.
So this is a so what you actually have with the pods that you see in the Matrix film is that this is the breakaway civilizations like cryostasis for their people that they make use of, and then like agents come from that and other slaves and stuff.
Yes, the architect. Remember the balancing equation that Wachowskis talk about but never explain because they don't understand it?
Uh-huh.
Here's the balancing equation. The architect is a real historic figure. Our country was involved with that architect, and Hitler wanted to be an architect. And he worked with the dome in Matrix comes from the dome of the architect. What was his architect's name? I forget the other architect. Anyway, so what you have is they're going to perfect the longevity program they're doing right now. The Immortal program, which they put the program in the Matrix, but not in his lifetime. So he throws the war and is taken by the U.S. to Brazil. This is the backstory. And you have the field of cryogenic pods, right, which they used. They lifted that, right? So it sounds like, well, it's a different story. They're taking everything they think is cool out and keeping even the oracle, the architect, the program, the red pill, blue pill, all that. Longevity is solved in the program by using the blood of the children to create an immortal program.
Wow.
That's the red pill.
Wow.
Wow.
When you are approached by the agent, Smith, you are only offered the red pill, nothing else. You have to take the blood of the children for the longevity program. You are not offered the blue pill. The Cabal doesn't talk about a blue pill, do they? Because you're only offered the red pill, and now they're still offering the red pill. If you're red-pilled, you're in the know. You're awake. They're still offering the red pill, aren't they? Not the blue pill.
But red comes with the sacrifice, like blood, red, in a sense.
Once you take the red pill, once you have the Neuralink, once you do it, you have sold into them.
Yeah.
You have sold your soul, basically. You have signed the document. You signed the line. So the blue pill is offered later in Underground so that Neo can get back in the program to take them on. With painful side effects, you pay a price for the blue pill. And let me tell you, you do. You do. So
yeah.
Now, then you have the whole thing here. I want to just read this real quick. Just make it brief if I can. Okay. Do we have Jackson Neck? Here we go. Where is it? Yes, here we go. Okay. Do we have Jackson Neck? Do we have Neuralink, which is called Neuroenhancer, Brain Enhancer in the original work? Did you know, I think I said it in Star Trek, in the same episode, in the Star Trek Dark whatever it was, they have it called the brain or Neuroenhancer, Brain Enhancer. Then they switch it in the same episode to Neuralink. They switch it from this to what they're going to give Elon. They renamed it. Just like they switch the letters of Immortals around to get Matrix. Now, let's see if they have Jackson Neck in here. Here we go. In the society, some of the dream of fighting to obtain the right of immortality, the program for all people. That is what Neo's doing. One such group is the Underground, which uses a bootleg copy of the immortal pill, immortal drug, right? There you go. The counterfeit drug can only slow aging at its best. It's not perfected, painful, right? It doesn't use the blood of children.
That's the blue pill? That's the
blue pill. Yes.
Got it. Okay. All right. I follow.
It's good to point it out. Yes. So I'll change the words to the names they use. Neo's former friend Morpheus, who worked with him in an agency before this future time, has a high position in Underground, which Morpheus did. Many of those outside the program, called shorts in the original work, view the Underground as troublemakers in a perfect society. Is that not happening in our society? Where those of us that are rock the boat are considered troublemakers? Misinformation? Problems? From which, here you go. Troublemakers in a perfect society from which shorts hope to benefit. Remember Bane getting the stake and wanting to have it and everything? Subsequently, the Underground trusts no one, has its own strict and ruthless codes, just like the agents. Betraying a member means instant death, since they are being sought constantly by central agents. Notice central agents is what the Smith is called, and the agents are about the agents. You know why? Because in the original work, Neo works for the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. In the one world order to come, they rename it Central. And watch for that to happen. So our one world governing agency will be Central. Is that something? From Central.
Yeah, there's already
wow.
There's already various interlocking intelligence agencies as it is, but most people know publicly the Five Eyes, right? So, and that's all coming from what are the public agreements, right? Like, America and Australia and England and whatever were these solid allies bound together by common language and culture and stuff. But through the back doors of more complicated geopolitics, you've got everybody's intelligence agencies that are on the global economic network, all interconnected, including the ones that are fighting each other, but they're all within the top bloodlines that serve the
exactly dark. Right. Exactly. Someone wrote about Freemasonry. Yes, Freemasonry is very much part of this. When they were bringing me on board, they insisted I be a Freemason. To be part of the club, which is interconnected businessmen across the globe for a one world society. Where they
I saw.
And it's a goddess cult.
It is. It really is.
It's a goddess cult.
And guess what? Women aren't part of it, are they? They get to be Eastern Star.
No, so they're in the background telling everybody what to do.
Exactly. Behind
and how to do it.
Good woman in their viewpoint. Yeah. Exactly. They're not going to let go of their power. So it's a good point. I'm glad they brought up the Freemasonry thing. Absolutely right. Now listen what happens. Central, much like the Nazis' SS, which we did, we absorbed the Nazis, is the Operation Paperclip and Operation Sunrise, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Each central agent is, here we go, ready? Security force, including former prostitutes trained to kill. And this is true. So then we have each central agent is equipped with specialized brain enhancers, neurolinks, unlike normal neurolinks. Listen what it says right there. I know it's my writing, but from way back, but listen, it's happening. The Neuralink, when it's given to the general public, will be given $1, a dumbed down version. The elite want to be brighter, smarter, better at all times and control the rest. So the Neuralink will have a little more bells and whistles for the elite, and for the general public, it'll be the economy version. You won't be able to think as well.
I'm just kind of curious in this day and age of technology why people like Joe Biden, which literally means, bidon is like a trash can in French, pretty much, in the phonetics. Yeah. Why is he speaking like a fucking retard when he can have, any kind of chip in his brain that kind of, at least make him speak like a coherent, human being or whatever. Even like a robot would sound better than this shit, but yeah.
It's a great question, but go back to ancient Rome. We're modeled after ancient Rome. We're the real first republic after the Roman model. We're the first one to follow the Roman model. And look what's happening, the same thing, right? Yeah. But what did I, Claudius, do in ancient Rome? A lot of us know this, right? He actually supported Nero coming to the throne. Why? Because he wanted them to fail. He wanted to go back to the republic. He wanted to get rid of the dictators to go back to the republic. In a sense, what you're seeing is they're putting forward idiots so that we will then agree to a better way, a better solution on their terms by their design. Yeah. Which means the elite will take over and save the day and rule.
It's so Hegelian, man. What the hell?
It's happening. Yeah. It's happening. Look what just happened over the weekend, for fuck's sake. I mean, it's ridiculous. Exactly right.
Yeah. But they need to disarm us, the gun control. They need to make sure that we're pliable. They're cowards. Elite are absolute brainless cowards that don't have a shred of creativity in them and believe that everything's been done under the sun.
Yeah. And they will eat their own. They'll eat their own.
They will. They will. They say if they make you, they can break you. And if anybody who's a minion for them, if you don't do what they want, you're going down in a bad way. And those So now watch what happens here. Each central agent is equipped with specialized brain enhancers, neurolinks, unlike normal neurolinks worn by most immortals. So there's that discrepancy. There's that one has less. They're always going to keep you down. Neuralink brain enhancers are minute devices. Now, see if we're talking about it in 1990. 2. Ready? Remember, Warner Bros. Attorney said there's nothing about Jack's neck, nothing in here. Well, let's see. Brain enhancers are minute devices that attach to the back of the person's neck and allow the wearer to see a readout before their eyes and enables their mind to respond like a personal computer, giving constant feedback on any person or thing they see. Central control has monitors which display whatever an agent sees. Remember monitors, anyone? Think of the Wachowskis lifting it out of the script into the visual storyboard. Room of monitors, field of pods, all that, lifting it out. Blue pill, red pill, Jack's neck, lifting it out.
The operators reading the code on the other side of the line, right?
Exactly. We have that exact. Remind me to read that to you. That little paragraph that describes exactly that. The operator of the ship with the headphones, listening to loud music, reading the green scrolling blips on the screen while he's driving it is right there. They didn't even try to alter that. It was too cool. Yeah.
So like, okay, so you have you have tech like the like hover ships like the Nebuchadnezzar are in it. Does it have the Babylonian names? Some of this esoterica, was it called the Nebuchadnezzar?
Love that you said that. Let me go back to the first page, the very first sentence of the screen that they ripped out, right? The poor man's packet, and he resealed it so badly. He lathered it with glue. Just lathered it with glue. It was so obvious. You still see the creases of the full script in that thing that was sitting there for years. The audacity of them. Listen to the first line of Immortals. Does it have biblical language? Let's see. The Tower of Babel is complete.
Wow.
Man has become like the gods, distracting the world's attention, cracking the code to immortality by experimenting on the Jews. Realizing the solution could be achieved, but not in his remaining lifetime, the architect decides to be frozen in the field of pods along with the top staff. Without aging, they can await their immortality as the scientists continue to work on it. And now they've actually done it in our time. Stanford and IBM have done it. They're amazed at the results. Longevity. And what they say in the article, we've done it, we've achieved, it's blown away by the results, but it's not ready for the general public. It'll never be ready for the general public. It'll be a dumbed down version where it'll be a control. And in this very story, Neo hears a sound in his head. At one point, finally, it makes a message. She's still alive. Right when the architect wants him to run to underground, because he's going to go there to find out if he can find her again. His wife, that they took the relationship out. If you want to dull the story down of the Matrix, take the relationship out between Neo and his wife. You watch Matrix 5, I won't be surprised at all if Neo has a wife in Matrix 5 and that the stakes are higher where he has a daughter again, just like in the original the Wachowskis didn't want to use. And why did they get fired from Assassins back in 95? Why did they fail as writers? Because they took the love relationship out, they took the sympathetic character, central character out, and they put in too much violence.
Well, I think when we talked last week, you said that you didn't see Matrix 4. You didn't hear much about it. Trinity is in, and she has the family. She's got a husband who's played by the John Wick director.
Oh
and,
my God, no! You're saying this actually happened?
Yeah, they put it in.
Oh my God, no! Because get this, but stop just a second. I got to stop you really quick. In the original work, Smith erases the memories of Trinity and makes her his wife to make Neo suffer. And then programs Trinity to go after Neo as a femme Nikita in the end. But she thinks with her own heart, not the neural link, to realize that Neo shouldn't be the target. That Smith is bad. You just told me they just took my ending.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, because basically the analyst who is the replacement for the architect in their continuity, he's the one who resurrects Trinity and Neo by making like by installing a bunch of parts in them and then getting their organs back and going and putting them in super pods.
In the original work,
yeah,
Trinity and Neo are both in pods, and Neo and Trinity are bought out separately. Smith makes Trinity his wife and reprograms her mind, erases the memories.
Yeah. Trinity. Yeah. Neo is in the whole thing where he's like this single aging bachelor who made the Matrix video game, and then Trinity is someone that doesn't know him, but has heard of him and his work, and they're kind of like coffee mates.
Because the original memories are erased.
This is to emotionally torture him, because the one and Trinity as his counterpart make they're more economically powerful for the Matrix's power grid, working together by having this unrequited love. Right? They can't love each other, but they get to have the moment where they lie to each other about their feelings, and that powers the Matrix.
Same thing happened in my real life. My real life Trinity, Senator David Bourne's niece. We were engaged to be married, and we pitched the screenplay together to Bonaventura. We were invited up together, and then she was approached by Disney, and they got her to switch out, and she sold out. I lost her, and so now she's used against me. So the same thing, they put me in my own story, they said. So yeah, it hurts a lot.
Oh, hell fucking no.
Wow.
Yeah. That inverted twin flame type of thing. Yeah.
And she said that she wrote a letter to me too, and said that, that got through, and she won, we're going to make it work and everything. That letter was intercepted at the post office, and it wasn't given to me later until I was hospitalized, until she was talked away. Yeah. So we would have had the Matrix story the way it was supposed to be if they weren't able to turn her. So anyway, but yeah, so central control has monitors which display whatever an agent sees. The room monitors. It's killing me, guys. As an added bonus, each agent's brain enhancer is virtually non-detectable and equipped with a powerful self-destruct in case any agent has second thoughts about doing his duty. Any sign of disobedience, an agent's enhancer may be detonated from Central's monitoring room, causing grisly detachment of the disloyal agent's body from his unknowing head. The story was tight. The story was good. I wanted it perfected as much as possible before I pitched it. And as soon as the Wachowskis started lifting images out in their wonderful storyboard, they dismantled it. They ruined it. They couldn't pick worse people to do it. And now, it seems Warner Brothers agrees. Now they're bringing someone else to steal it. And what can I do about it? Unless there's a team, unless people do think this matters, I just watch from the sidelines. And that's what they intended. They wanted my loved ones to die around me or get bought off, and I'm to witness it in the living hell while they ruin the work and turn it to what they want, which keeps the children enslaved instead of freeing them. The train station scene is supposed to free them. The Wachowskis on their fan page says it's just a subplot. The little girl's just a subplot. The little girl's central to the ending.
Yeah, geez, Tom, some kind of solution-oriented thoughts I had, and even stemming back from earlier, just, having some kind of open source thing where, this could be even like crowd-funded, whatever the hell, Kickstarter, all that, whatever the hell. This has been done even recently with, alternative, media, including comics, where they're sick of the, bullshit, wokeism stuff that's been plaguing, all types of media, as you've probably noticed in all these things. And this can work. And there are these, it kind of stems from, I don't know if you're familiar with Eric July. He also goes by Young Ripa, whatever, but him, along with like Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker, they're up to like the millions in subscribers, and they've been, just hacking at, the bullshit Hollywood hacks over the past, like 4 years at least. And it's cool to see. And like, I'm just imagining if they, caught a whiff of what you're talking about, and if you could get on their platforms to really, reach out tons of people.
What I need is people to be able to facilitate that, make that happen. Because in my situation, like, I'm holding all the cards, right? Disney actually calls me the library, but I'm still trying to keep my son alive. I'm still trying to go day by day. Like you guys hit on it, where each day I get up and I'm still trying to keep going, and I'm still trying to think it matters, that it's going to matter, that it'll help society, that it'll make a difference for people. I have to tell myself that every single day, while I see this going on around me. But if we can get people on board to do what they're most afraid of, the other side's most afraid of, the work being made. If we make the work, I don't need to see a dime from it. But if we make the work, we can bring them down. We can crack the cabal. The reason I knew so much to put in the work is because I was being groomed to be one of the leaders in the group, in the cabal. So I know what I'm bringing forward, and that's all coming true now. We can beat them to the punch if we make this work. So if we just can make the work, and I need others to make that happen, to bring it together, where then I'm called in, Tom, come on down, we got the team ready, and I come in. If I try to facilitate it, if you go inside my mind, it's creating 24/7, but I'm also thinking about my sons. What did they suffer when they died? They did a good job, like Russell Crowe in Gladiator, when he says, then you kill Commodus. It's like, your brother did his work well. They did their work well. I hurt every day. Every day I feel it painfully. I can't wrap my brain around everything they did, but I will not give up. I'll keep going. But I need what you said. I need someone to set the room up, set the team up, get the investors, then call me in, and you'll find the library can do his part. I will do my part for the team. I just can't facilitate it myself because my brain is full of horror, but I have the facts. Yeah, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely did, and sometime when we get like a future whatever put together, we'll talk
Good.
about setting up like for like that panel read idea ourselves. We could even use that as like a promotionary, like if you set up a fund for what you want to do with everything that you just said right there to get it to be actually made. We'll have some fun being a demonstration. I like to read stuff. I read stuff on my channel. I'm reading Heidegger right now. So all this hoity-toity vernacular that's very hard to, get through. I surf on Heidegger. So I can handle my angle of a read. I don't know.
You gave me a great idea. You gave me a great idea because, like I said, you do what they fear most, right? And they really, 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 really want the original work. In fact, their own attorneys out in Hollywood were saying the real life story is worth a fortune. It's better than The Matrix. So they want this work. They did the Richard Jewell story to test it out, how audiences would respond. And then we've got that green-lighted piece for Off-Broadway. Now, again, this isn't for me. This is to complete the work in my son's memory and to make this happen, that we can go forward. And here's the idea that I have in mind while I say this. We are on a hijacked timeline. On that hijacked timeline, sort of like Family Man, way back that old film, what they do is they put us all into different positions where they have the control of the timeline. But naturally, we come back to the timeline that is because of our natural talents, our abilities, how we connect. We will resume at some point onto the reconstituted timeline. In that timeline, we are the heads, not the tails. We are leading with intelligence and actual compassion. They know their time's running out. That's why they want to be the ones that facilitate these stories. But if we had a table read of The Domestics, which Disney wants so bad to do off-Broadway, but if we do it instead, that's going to be something they want. They're outside the party looking in, wanting to be part of it. Now suddenly we have their attention and they might acquiesce on certain points. See, we might have control in that place by our art. So what I'm saying is, let's use the art for what it was meant for, to right what was wrong, to get us on the right timeline, for the benefit of all of us. And whoever wants to be part of that, to form that team, I will show up at that meeting. I will be there 100%. And I'll be so grateful. And a little hope goes a long way. What you did today was gave me a little hope. And I can keep going with a little hope. That gives me hope for my kids too.
Well, you've got whatever measure of support my humble life can offer, which of course is doing various things like what I said, having this conversation, et cetera, et cetera. I do what I can.
Right. Well, I'm saying we've got a key. We've got the ticket they fear most. That's why what was done to me and my children. Right. And that's why my daughter was reprogrammed and turned into somebody who despises me, and even though I cherished her and my sons when they were little and spoiled them, it's like they can take them, reprogram them. And she's actually married to the other firm's nephew, whatever, the guy who had the other firm to throw our case. They married her into the enemy. And so she's cut me off and Aiden off completely. So I'll never see my granddaughter. But the thing is that, I wasn't even told she existed. But the thing is, that's how they play. They're doing the movie, right? But if we do a table thing, and if somewhere people listening or somewhere can get investors behind this. And I'll sign on that I don't get a dime. I don't care. Let's just finish the work. Let's just change our timeline. Because what happens is when the timeline's righted and this work is done, that's what they're afraid of. They're using it to hijack it. If this work is done, others that have been uprooted from the right timeline will come into play, into position where they are. If they're still alive, they'll be back into position. So we'll write a timeline with all kinds of people that were uprooted back the way they should be, doing what they're skilled to do and doing it for a better world. And I believe this was the gift that was to be a pathway to that world where we all value each other. We all go forward. The message in the Matrix isn't what the Wachowskis put in. It's not about Trinity and Neo having sex in a cave when a rave is going on. That scene was added to what was supposed to be a very impactful scene, which Barbara Walters catched on to, where it's like humanity's last stand. But in my piece, you have them realizing it's going to be their last stand. But they don't have a sex rave and make all that noise to broadcast it. They get serious about what they have to do to prepare. And it certainly isn't walking around in the suits from Aliens exposed with their chest, where you have to load it from the back, which Joel Silver said shows the Wachowskis' real genius. No, that's not what it was. It was a very serious moment where humanity had a last stand, a last chance. And they had the key, they turned to blow the tunnels. And the Squiddies did come through the tunnels. And it's all there. But not the way they turned it. They turned it to enough.
The nature of our good guys, of our protagonists, I've been listening to many of your interviews, and there's definitely the big fix in understanding, the stakes. So we're focused on the enemy and things like that. There's aspects of what my imagination of what's going on with Zion is, and maybe explain a little bit more what that actual resistance is like, and because our imagination is, okay, a big deal is that they jack into the Matrix, and because they have transcended consciousness, they have their advantages, and then the Neo has super advantages, but that's nothing like what your actual story is, right?
Right. Neo has no super advantages in the original work. They put that in because of the Dream movie. They're blending the Dream movie in where he flies like Superman. In the Dream movie, he escapes the horrors that manifest to your body. Whatever happens to you in the dream happens to you in the Dream movie. So he learns to fly to escape in the Dream movie. But the Dream movie has nothing to do with the Matrix story, the Immortals. They mixed it in like the Train Man from Ghost. And so that's why they added, like I said, the telephone booth where Superman. It's all about Superman. They got all wet dream excited about the Superman element.
Trying to Clark Kent the situation, huh?
It belongs in the Dream movie. You can't blend the movies together. But they blended everything together, didn't they? And so Neo in the original work is me. It's modeled after myself. That's why they call him Thomas A. I am a regular guy who doesn't have superpowers, and it makes the stakes higher. It makes it more challenging. Now, why they forget, I guess, they blew it, just like Joe Silver blew it about the robot-like agents. Why doesn't Smith just kill Neo then if he has no powers, right? Well, first of all, in their version, it's a pretty boring film when all he has to do is fly, and we all know he can fly away, and he can just do rapid punches and everything like that. It's like, what's worth watching anymore? He can just do whatever he wants, unless you're going to do something where they suddenly loses that power, like kryptonite. Don't tell me I don't want to hear this in the other film. Anyway, so what really was happening is the architect has not green-lighted Smith to take out Neo in our version, because the architect is feeding off the stimulation of his mind from the conflict between the two hating each other. And the little girl scene where Neo comes back, which they stuck in Interstellar. I don't like Christopher Nolan. Taking that scene and ruining it like that. But anyway, he comes back and sees his daughter aged, told by Smith that he's supposed to mentor him in the program. See? He was told he had to be part of the program. Neo had to be part of the program, given the red pill originally. He's brought back, and he's told that Smith is going to be his mentor. He hates Smith. And he's not supposed to see family members. He goes and sees, there's the Interstellar scene they rip off with. He goes and sees his daughter is aged. Last he saw her, she said, "Daddy, promise me you'll come to a birthday party." She's 6 years old. Now she has Alzheimer's, which, yes, the Neuralink can cure it. And she's got like Alzheimer's. She's got the mind of a 6-year-old, just like when she left her, when he was cryogenically preserved, like a moment later in his mind. And she's saying a man pulled her out of the fire. He thinks that Smith saved his house when it was firebombed, saved his daughter, at least. So there's a bittersweet loyalty to Smith. The architect feeds off that. That's why the ending scene is so important. When the little girl comes up and hugs her daddy, Neo, not the Oracle, they replace him with the Oracle. It doesn't make any sense to hug the Oracle. This chick that is just like feeds cookies. And what happens is he hugs her daddy, a 6-year-old again without scars, and points and says, that's the man that pulled me out of the fire, pointing to the sun, which is Christ on the hill. The identical figures on the hill, the architect looking like Christ. Because the architect is balancing the equation where he's going to now use the free, untainted people of Zion. So back to your question. The people in Zion are set aside by the architect as untainted beings, humanity, to come out at the right time to balance the equation where he can have the pure power of worship looking like Christ, because he's going to use that element historically where we're supposed to give our power of worship, where he doesn't need the agents anymore and purges them. So he calls them out at the right time with an ambiguous oracle working for him. They come out, and now he can have that for the rest of eternity stimulating his mind. Makes sense? Now, picture the Wachowskis on set.
So he can be immortal, right? Hence the name of the thing?
That's
Okay.
right. So the Wachowskis have all that on set. They don't understand it. They're angry about it. All these union wage people are waiting to do what's next. All they're saying is blow it up, blow it up, blow it up. It's not going to work. And instead, they keep the same ending. How the hell is that supposed to tie together if you're taking out the Christ figure and putting a cross on Neo with his arms out like a crucifix? It doesn't work, Wachowskis. Mm-hmm. And you're putting the little girl just hugging the oracle and pointing to a sunset? It doesn't work, Wachowskis. It's not a satisfying ending. Unless we, as an audience, have an awe moment where we go, it wasn't the Smith that saved his daughter. It was the Christ that pulled her out of the fire. Oh, now I get it. It was Christ that pulled his daughter out of the fire, not the Smith. And here he's been bittersweet loyal, feeling like at least Smith did that, which made a complex stimulation for the architect where they hate each other, they're waiting for the green light to kill each other, and there's this feeling at least he did that for him. No, he didn't. And what happens is Neo learns that when Smith's neural link is cut out with a shard of glass, they put it in Elysium later, and he downloads Smith's memories. Now he has to lose his own memories. He's told to think on what matters. He has only Smith's memories and feelings. And of that event when his daughter was firebombed in the house and his wife was raped and murdered, he's feeling what Smith felt while he did those acts. That's why when they're going to the dome using Smith's memories and Trinity is along holding the hand, is because he is wrestling with the thoughts and feelings Smith had of his own family suffering the worst things you can suffer. And what did the Wachowskis do with that scene? Trinity sitting there holding Neo's hand, going to the dome without showing the audience anything about what he's suffering from. God damn you, Wachowskis. God damn you.
Wow, that's, 10 or 100-fold, more profound than, what was shown on screen to us, unfortunately. That's so unbelievably unfortunate how we were deprived of your masterpiece,
All the passion out of the piece.
God damn.
All the passion's gone. That's why I said God damn them. And I mean it. I mean it. What they did to the world and the powers behind them, what they have done to the children, what they have allowed to happen when it was supposed to bring peace, when it's supposed to open our eyes, no one is awake yet. And if you say you're red-pilled, they're getting you to embrace the blood of the children. Please stop saying red-pilled. Let's break it around and say we're not red-pilled anymore. Let's say we're not going to be red-pilled anymore. Let's say that, because that is them getting us to sign on. And let's start turning it around. Then they will be afraid. They will be afraid. I guarantee you.
Especially when people have you heard this term black-pilled amongst, truth seekers?
They're changing it now because I came forward about the blue pilling. So that's why they had Wachowski's, Sophia Stewart on her own site say the red pill is based on blood of children is the good pill and the blue pill is the bad. And they had this German chick saying, sorry, but I'm not happy about it. She shaved her head, got on the air and said the blue pill's bad. I saw it in the vision. Bullshit. I wrote the piece where the blue pill's good. Don't tell me you saw a vision and try to get attention from Germany saying that with your head shaved, saying that the blue pill's bad because you had a vision. You don't know what you're talking about. The blue pill is the good pill. The author wrote it and copyrighted that way. Don't tell me the blue pill's bad. I'm the one that knows. Chick from Germany trying to get attention. I'm so sick of the way this world's acting. I'm sick of it, guys.
I feel you. Do you mind if I ask you? There's some questions I have to backtrack a little bit, especially, there's a couple of folks that are.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just feeling it.
Yeah, I'm feeling it too, brother. And I appreciate it, Tom. Everything you're saying.
Don't worry. We're all tirade-y kind of people.
Yeah.
We are.
They screwed us. They screwed us.
They did.
And they bragged about it. Their attorneys bragged that they got away with it. They made billions off this. They bragged that, quote, I really got screwed. They bragged that I was worth all this money. I don't care about the money. They do. But go on. I'm sorry.
That's pretty thick. So a lot of people, and I'm sure like some of these things are kind of just like details within the movie of The Matrix that, might have been just, made up on the Wachowskis' end or whatever. But folks are curious on, the spoon boy and the whole metaphor of the spoon. And was that anything part of your written?
They threw the spoon in to try to be clever because, they actually went on set and said, here, read this book. It's required reading. Well, they didn't even understand it.
The simulacra of simulation?
Yeah, they were trying to make it like they were smart. They didn't read the book. They're just handing it out.
Are you fucking?
Numerology.
They made the actors read it, but they didn't read them themselves.
They didn't read themselves. No, they didn't understand the work. It's just trying to make them.
Have you read it? Have you read it, by the way?
No, I'm not going to. What
I did, yeah. Sorry.
My whole viewpoint was, if I'm going to write something brand new and there is stuff new under the sun, then I cannot be influenced by other people's work.
Right on.
That's what I do, is have a pure form, and each of us has a pure form we can bring in this world. I don't want regurgitation, and I don't want somebody else's ideas.
Have you heard that the Matrix 4? Sorry, go for it.
Go ahead.
In regards to regurgitations, Matrix 4 Resurrections has been deemed also Matrix 4 regurgitations as well.
Good.
There's a lot of right.
Good.
Anyways, yeah.
No way I can watch it. I can't watch it. That's why I react the way I do when you guys tell me what's in it. My God.
There's the way that I understood it in 2021 before I caught your first Alpha Vedic interview. And I'm not sure if you did anything before Alpha Vedic. So that was my initiatory on it. Because, because I've done so well with my own understanding of things. And when I look at like a film that I bother to de-occult and to go and analyze esoterically, like, I don't know what to assume about how it got to where it got. But if I'm A, entertained, B, inspired by something in it, that's what I talk about. So I do my breakdown, and it's very supportive of the film based on how I'm able to extract like a good message that is in there. And probably a lot of it I'm accidentally seeing
very important
thing from you.
Very important what you're saying right now, because the Wachowskis on their own fan page said audiences are explaining it for them, that they didn't understand it. They actually said, that the 6 versions of Zion, that they said that, we realize now, thanks to audience members, that it should have been 1. It's in the original work, it's 1. The architect knows what he's doing. And the architect is so smart. Why is he using a silver pen to change channels? And what's he watching? If he's so smart, why does he need 60,000 screens with the same thing on it? And why can't he figure out what to do to balance the equation? Why is he babbling at the end with an uncertain truce? In ours, he knows exactly what to do and has it timed perfectly and knows exactly what choices we're going to make. And that's why the idea is given to act unpredictable, to throw them off. And we do to do that to defeat them anyway. There's a thing about Trinity doing a fight scene. Someone put it in through. And yes, in the original work, and keep in mind, they switched it out of the Copyright Office. My second half ending was switched from my original filing. In my second filing was a cool story with Trinity in it. They switched the first filing's ending. They put it and tagged it on the second filing. And in the second filing, what was supposed to be there, is Trinity. Remember that scene I told you about where she's using the program memories that Smith gave her as his wife, and then she realizes that she's not supposed to take out Neo, that she has this heart memory thing, Sunshine Mind, Eternal thing that followed later. She actually shoots Smith and one of those things. And she helps Neo at that point. All these, we called them hit babes as a short joke thing, right? Because the industry calls it that. Where these other women, remember we said former prostitutes, programmed, that have a mortal program, they're perfected in their fighting skills, which they picked up in Matrix, right, later. And so we have the Trinity character having to fight her own, having to fight the other Femme Nikitas that are so perfectly hundreds of years trained in perfect war. So that's why you have the bullet time. See? And what happens is they're fighting in it's like perfected killing machines fighting each other. And it's one against a group. And she's trying to save the man she actually loves, that her memories are erased for. In the original work, yes, there is the fight scene. Not the way they do it, of course. So, yeah. And I would never, ever cast Carrie Ann Moss or whatever her name is. Never, never, never in a million years would I put her near my work. Never.
Yeah, like the original actress you had in mind for that, I forget her name. I think it's yeah, right. Yeah. Did you have Monica Bellucci?
Yes.
What's the deal with
the reason they called her Trinity? The reason they called her Trinity in Matrix is because Neo has 3 love interests that happen, which is kind of my life, where it's like they take the one away, and you're left with her turned, and then another comes along, they turn her, break her, kill her. Another comes along. So they mock by calling her, call the 3 Trinity. See? So yes, Monica, they knew that I wanted her in, and Zeta Jones. So Zeta Jones, Monica, yeah. In fact, I have her name, Trinity's name in the original is Monica.
Oh, wow. And what's the deal with the Merovingian? What was your idea behind him? And did you choose that name yourself in regards to the
No, they again attached another name to it.
Really? Okay. But you're familiar with that name, with the dark occultist, bloodlines and all that?
Yes. That's the whole thing with the train scenes and things like that. And what you have, the character exists, but not the name they have. What you have is the architect has former agents and others doing terrible crimes in those that are outside the program to simulate his mind. That's why the parents are pushing their kids forward the train station scene, to at least maybe they'll have a better chance in the program if they can have somebody who's had the red pill take their kid through the liquid mirrors. See? So it's a great question you asked. Yes, they exist. They're architect-instilled, agent-instilled crime bosses in the outside the program to do horror to those that are not in the program, while religion is being used to control them also.
Wow, yeah.
Right. Because it was such a crazy deliberate choice. Because if he's not called the Merovingian in your script, then, the esoteric occult bloodline stuff, the Merovingians, they claim to be descendants of Joseph and Mary. Yeah, exactly. Particularly Mary, because these are the offspring of Mary's children with Joseph after Jesus in the mythos of the gospel, right? And to flip that on its head, as such, granted, the Merovingians in real life, I believe, are part of the evil bloodlines, but that's another story. But well, it's not really. It is this story. But I just don't want to go off on a tangent about not.
That's okay. You just raised something. You raised something to me that I didn't think of before. Again, I wrote the piece to ask more questions than give answers, because I wanted the people to come together that were brilliant, that solved the code, which was to bring the people together, a beacon to bring the people together to make a better life. So like a universal think tank, right, of cross disciplines. And this is exactly what's happening right now, which I'm so happy for. That gives a lot of hope. And so I was going to learn things by the coming together of great minds, which is happening right now. And what I just saw there, like the one comment about the medieval Italian power family, makes total sense, because it was the mafia, the Italian mafia, that had me pitch it. Bonaventura, Lenny Coco. Lenny Coco said he got his position as a powerful singer in New York because of the mafia. And I was being given the position to pitch my script because of the mafia. And the mafia and the cabal were against the religious right in the cabal. They're against each other. They need a unifying thing. Art became that unifying thing. So I was loved by all facets of the cabal except the religious right. Robertson pushed his forward. Rockefellers took me in, all these other groups. FBI gave me the card, extended every courtesy. They were drunk on, if you want to make a difference, if you have great art in their world, you're in the party. You're offered a seat.
I have a comment about the architect and the oracle and that sort of interface between the old masculine, the old feminine, and just knowing how woke ass Hollywood is, they had to make him look a little bombastic, a little arrogant, because he's the aging proverbial white man. And of course, they had to make the oracle a woman of color to create that sort of polarization. And I mean, the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking, this is just such tacky bullshit. I mean, they're just sort of throwing in these elements that are quote unquote pertinent to the sort of cultural Marxism that was like, coming more and more and more to the forefront back in those days. And as we see now, I mean, it's just gone full on tilt the fuck off. Right. So I wanted to make that comment. And then the whole thing with the Merovingian too. I mean, there are these blood goddess cults that are pro-Mary and against Mary. And so I think that comes into play. So there's a little bit of bullshit for everybody splattered throughout, I think, this hijacked storyline. Exactly. So there's a little bit of everything for any faction to feed off of.
Yes.
And try to distract again and again and again from your main points.
Exactly. And one of the things that I was doing that I felt guided to do was not spoon feed the audience, treat them as intelligence and as intelligent, and leave a lot of the backstory out. No wonder the suits at Warner Bros. Didn't understand it, so that we know we have something cool, we don't understand it. Wachowski's didn't understand it, because they need the original author to explain it, which Bonaventura had me explain the whole thing to him. He was blown away, said it was revolutionary, we were making this, all this stuff, but he couldn't retain it all. But apparently it was recorded, but they still didn't understand it because the layers that were involved, they just don't have that intellect, which goes along with why the Wachowskis are so pissed off. I want to read the description of Smith to you that the Hugo read on set. He was allowed to read the description, right? And think of it how he modeled his character. Now think of Agent Smith, the way he talks, that iconic presentation that you're used to, right? And the way he talks really slow and polished and all that stuff. Now you're going to hear the actual description he was read to on set of his character, and see if it doesn't ring in the embodiment of his first choice of what that character is. I don't know if I did this before, but I'll just read it. So here it is. It's on page 20. So I'm going to give you page 20. They say I never show a script. Well, yeah, page 20. Here we go. And believe me, this is all at the Copyright Office still. All right. So it says CIA waiting room. Berenger was the Smith's name. It was Kurt Berenger. And it says the Neo, I'll just use that name. Neo has been kept waiting. 3 nearly empty paper coffee cups are next to him on a magazine table. A door opens as a group of preoccupied and serious-looking men and women in business suits exit a briefing room. Just from the description, you can see the Wachowski's going to be like, that's too many big words. We don't know what's going on. It's like, you can imagine, God help us. So caps, you can see it's a shooting script. You put it in caps, Kurt Berenger.
Wait, that's too many big words for the Wachowskis? Yeah. That? What, are they in fucking 5th grade? Continue.
Oh, that's how we've been dumbed down through media. Of course, it's been.
Are you able to play the clip on the air here? If I give you a clip, if I tell you where it is on YouTube, can you play it? Are you allowed?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, good. While I'm reading this description, please look up and play that short clip on YouTube the bound interview with Larry Wachowski. I want you to play it after I read the description, and we'll see how intelligent these guys are, okay?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Like I said, they picked the worst people to give it to. Okay, here's the description that Hugo read. Ready? A stern-looking man in his upper 50s is among them. He is meticulously groomed and moves with a calculated grace. He spots Jim and moves towards him. Okay, now think of Hugo. So he's reading that, and an actor has to make a choice about how he's going to embody. And believe me, in the field, I won awards for performance a lot too. And what you do is you give the director something to go with, a little bigger, over the top, almost funny. Give them something overblown, and then they can adjust you. That's how you usually do it, right? Give them something spicy and big on first shot. So you can imagine Hugo going with the thing he did with Smith. You know, I have a heartache in my butthole. You know, it's just like, there he goes, doing this weird thing, you know, and it's like, what happens is the Wachowskis, the brainless wonders they are, you can imagine them on set going, keep that. That's a nightmare for an actor, being told to keep your first choice. But the Wachowskis want to appear intelligent. They're going, keep that, wanting to please him. I swear that's what happened. So Hugo had to keep that. Now it became iconic, but I know that was not the way he wanted to present himself as he presents himself later in Lord of the Rings. I think he wanted to have a more fleshed out presentation, but instead he goes with a description, does something with it, which else they keep it. And we have that, which really was kind of ridiculous when you think about it. And I know Hugo thought the same thing, probably, if I'm using the name right.
Was Hugo a first choice for you?
No, I didn't even know who he was at the time. So I wasn't thinking of him as a Smith agent at all.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that movie kind of put him on the map in the first place.
That's what it was meant to
do. Did you like him? I haven't heard you talk shit about Hugo yet. How's
no,
Elrond? Elrond? Do we hate Elrond? What's the counsel?
With what he was handed, I thought he did a good job.
Okay.
The way Joel Silver got it wrong, got it wrong about robots in a program, he did his work well. I think that is a thinking actor that applies himself meticulously to his role. And he delivered with what he had to do. So I'm gonna hope for the best here because I'm running out of people I like. No, I think he's a good guy.
Okay, great.
I don't know if he knows totally about the theft either. I know the rest of them do, especially Keanu Reeves.
I mean, we ought to ask why he's not in the reboot of the Matrix. That might be a tell.
That might be why. Good point. That's a telltale right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That he was uncomfortable with going forward with stolen work.
Yeah.
They said it's common knowledge throughout Warner Brothers that it's stolen. All the studios know they're not supposed to talk about it. So he probably felt uncomfortable, which is a good sign for all of us that they know that this is all going to come forward. Yeah. I hope we can do something with it because that's how we get our world back. I guarantee you this is the key to get our world back. That's why they're so concerned about it. Back to that first question.
Yeah.
Why would they take it? Why did they do so much horror? Yeah. Did you find the clip? Good. Play that clip if you can get sound on it. I want you to hear what Larry and Andy actually sound like and act like. The arrogance. They're known for being arrogant. They're not playful boys. They're quite arrogant and quite low on the IQ scale.
Yeah, and real quick, you're talking about just like a quick little 1 minute clip, right?
It's like a 1 minute thing of him talking about sound before he gets to do Matrix. So
boom. All right, I got it on deck, and whatever the heck, let's check it out.
Go ahead and compare us.
We don't think there's enough well-written female parts. Decided to write two. Sort of where the story kind of started. Decided to make, film noir with the woman as the protagonist. And, have the sort of sexy woman, but have her not be evil. Some would say that we have some sort of telepathy or symbiotic relationship. Others would say we just have one idea. I mean, it's such a natural collaborative medium that you don't really split up duties like that anyway. Everybody's always like, What about this? What about this? What about this?
As soon as you start saying something like that, you're saying that you're shutting off the other guy's ideas about...
You go do your technical stuff.
Directing the actors, the technical side.
Yeah, see, do you know when they went to Will Smith that they actually said they didn't show him a script? And Will Smith, that's why they humiliated Will Smith publicly, did that humiliation thing, ritual thing on the award ceremony. And it's like, now he's supposed to come back and make apologies or something. But it's like, he had said that he hadn't been shown a script. Wachowskis came and all they did was say, we're going to have really cool shots, like all these cameras around, and it's going to be really cool. You'll be frozen in time, and it'll be like a time where they get a shot and a shot and a shot. And he said he turned it down because they seemed like idiots. They didn't show him a script because they didn't have a script to show him. See? So all he had was working on their visual storyboard. If he had been shown the script and it had been the way it was supposed to be, then he probably would have done it. Yeah. But you see how they talk? How they think and the ego and stuff. I don't know if it came across, but yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very it's very like frat boy like vocabulary. It's just like they were trying to avoid saying something technical about filmmaking.
And what's their piece? What's the piece? There's the two pieces they're still trying to peddle. What do we say? What's the two pieces they're still trying to get made that never been made from the very beginning?
Plastic Man and something or another.
Plastic Man and Carnivore.
Carnivore.
Nobody still wants to make it.
Right. One's about cannibalism and the other is about radioactive feces.
Crapping out radioactive feces.
For fuck's sake. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, like, I love a good B horror film. I've seen some bad shit that makes me laugh, but, everybody's kind of, let's make a bad movie for fun.
Oh my God.
That's what they said. They said they're
Toxic Avenger, right?
How about the Human Centipede? I mean, there's a bad, horrific movie. Human Centipede. There we go. It's an all-time low.
Yeah, and their Bible, they call it their Bible, is that book again. I don't know if I got the title right at all. It's like How to Make $1 Million in Hollywood Without Losing a Dime, is all about B movies. So my movie's not a B movie. My movie is very, very expensive. But the thing is, now we can do it, like you can do it with the green screen, things like that. Yeah, you can do it. You can tone it down. But the thing is, or do animated even. But the thing is that they were all about doing crappy stuff and making a profit off of it, guaranteed profit through insurance films, Joel Silver said. So why would they suddenly come up with this if they had Plastic Man and Carnivore? They're still trying to get forward.
Wow.
In animation stuff, it's I almost see it as entirely possible that you could possibly team up with what's his name, Arnav. I always forget his name, but he's the guy who made the In Shadow short film, and then he just made Kingdom. His themes are right in the pocket of what he animated in Shadow and the Forest King short.
Right.
For this other one.
I like it. I'd like to see too? The director from Ghost in the Shell that was handed my material in 1994 to do rendering graphics of my actual concepts so Joel Silver can claim original source material. He actually sent it to, first thing Rankin did, that supplied attorney, classmates with Linda Burrow from Warner Brothers, said to me was, we got to watch Ghost in the Shell. Like, how would he know? We got to watch Ghost in the Shell right away. It's like, that's the first thing he said. And it's like, that's because Joel Silver in 1994 gave my work submitted in 1993 to the Ghost in the Shell director to render artwork so they can claim the images of Jack's neck, genderless female, males, all that stuff. Right. And they did. Now they're doing an exhibit that tours around the art museums of those graphics.
Yeah.
It was a laundering machine. And they did that in Oblivion. When the case was thrown in 2014, Disney held Oblivion for Joel Silver, and only Joel Silver got it. And they were going to write a source material novel, Oblivion. As soon as the case was thrown, they said they're scrapping the novel. They don't need it anymore. They're not going to write it. They're going to go right to the work. And they did everything I had. Identical figures facing off, little girl pointing to the man, everything like that at the end. Everything was there. Yeah. So they create source material. But what I was saying is I'd love to see the Ghost in the Shell team or director come around and actually say, we want to work with the original source. And let's do it right. I'd like to see that happen. I want to see a switch up like that, where the guys that were given to rip it off actually come around and work with the good guys.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I could go all day on Otomo Katsuhiro.
Yeah.
Like Akira was my jam. This was like Ghost in the Shell also. Like I got initiated through all of that.
Right.
So that was a big that was a big up on it. You know, like, so they don't got superpowers, but because the Neo character, he was an agent, like, so like, because this is an action movie, there's a lot of like fighting in like maybe action drama, I suppose is what it's supposed to be, right? And you had your martial arts director on set, the fight trainer and all that stuff. I wanted to know a little bit more about that, especially if any of the spirituality in martial arts was coming through, you know, because I mean, like, was it as kung fu-y in the script as it is?
No, the women that were reprogrammed and were the agents, the female agents, are gifted in every type of craft of, you know, assault and stuff like that. So they would be able to do that stuff. That's where they're getting that from. But as far as making it into a kung fu film, sort of, no, I wasn't doing that. That's them groupies of a certain genre sticking it in because they could do it then and be around their idols. So they wanted to work with their idols. And that's also what they did with Animatrix, is they got to bring all these idol directors in and give them pieces to do as they rip off pieces of the work, making them part of the theft.
I don't blame them, though. I would want to work with all those people too.
Yeah, well, that's what they did. They utilized it, didn't they? They utilized it. So they took it as groupies. They were groupies of the work. They said their mom said they failed at everything they did. They said they did too. Painting, contracting, dropped out of school. All they did was read comic books and play video games. They didn't have anything. So think of sci-fi groupies suddenly being given the science project. And they said in an article, we failed as writers in Hollywood after Demolition. After Assassin. We'll have to pack our bags and leave Hollywood unless we're given a project to direct. Joel Silver steps in and goes to make sure they'll get the science project. They weren't the first choice, were they? We saw, I think I sent the material where Tom Hanks was slated to take it. Wendy Wasserstein, the famous Jewish playwright, was slated to take it. They're all given copyright entries in 1998, in 99, to claim to do. So Wachowskis were on their way out, failing with Assassins. And so they screamed and kicked and yelled, and Joel Silver gave them the audition piece Bound, and they got to get the science project after that. And what they do in Bound, they named the main character Larry loved, felt most akin to the one woman, lesbian woman, Violet, which is my grandmother's name, Violet. So they rub it in there too, precursing the Matrix entries. Right. So yeah.
I actually want to know if they stole this from you, because I haven't heard you speak much of anything that the Wachowskis put in Cloud Atlas. And
I couldn't watch Cloud Atlas because I had this whole thing about diverging, like where you would come across a character and they pick up with their story and their story picks up with the other story. They put it in Lost afterwards. Abrams was a big problem of mine, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Took it all through Lost, the whole pick up thing that I had.
Yeah.
And I came up with that like as a child. But the thing is that Cloud Atlas, Tom Hanks brought in.
Yes.
Right. And yes, the whole thing with that where the stories are like they did with Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah.
Again, that's a big ripoff of mine because in the backstory in mine, you have the people in the program are able to also control other planets and play God with other planets. So
Yeah,
right. Yeah, because
actually...
Cloud Atlas is like it's very a soft disclosure about like the esoteric, because like we all look in we're in the like the exopolitics looking side of the game as well, and it's very well understood, this whole thing with the Anunnaki, the Dracos, the Greys. It kind of displayed that hierarchy. Right. I'm sorry, it's Jupiter Ascending. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was my question. Yeah, thank you, man.
You know, because I liked those films, right? So now I have to know if they stole your shit because I liked them, and it couldn't have been the Wachowskis. In Cloud Atlas, Tom Hanks is at least one character who says this line, because they kind of cut through themes across time in the film. And one of Tom Hanks's characters says in one of the scenes, and it's repeated by other characters, "I will not be subject to criminal abuse." And It was the one line in that whole film that I said, that's my gold nugget, because I was at a loss for word for feeling exploited by people a lot under those odd kind of circumstances. And that film gave me that line, and that's helped me out with having some words of authority in my life.
That's very interesting, because I was accused of when I said on that taped call with the Disney exec attorney, I said, "Why are they doing this to me? You dared to face them down." So it's like, that reminds me of that, where I refused to give up. Like my son said, "Don't ever give up, Dad. Keep going. No matter what they do to me, just keep going." Right. Like, it reminds me of that idea of that you're going to keep going. You're going to dare to face them down, that they're a criminal injustice. So, yeah. That's what hit me.
That's interesting. And there's like, there isn't really much of winners in that film. It's just that they show you in the future, there's sort of a win in the future, but the future is like after we're tribal again, because there's another freaking, destruction of everything.
Right.
But yeah, it was a funky, complicated film. Maybe it was the kind of chopped salad film it was, because they were throwing things in there that you haven't talked about.
That's probably it. Again, it gets very convoluted when they do that and disconnected. That's exactly what they do. And one of the main things, like, look at the ending of the Immortals, which they copyright the Immortals title after the fact. It's like you have a reset of the earth where it greens and turns green. And technology, everything's gone. It's just everything turns green. So you just have a greening of the earth over the cities and everything washing. So it's kind of like an apocalyptic good ending, where we go back to the earth being right.
Yeah, that you know what, that is what they do. Like they have these chop ups, and it goes from like, I think like the 1850s or something, or 30s or whatever was like the earliest one. And then it's like 20XX or something like that, like beyond calendar time situation. And then there's in-betweens, including in Seoul, South Korea, in like the 2100s, which has all of your very, probably there's dystopian like stuff from the Immortals that's in that, because that's a whole dystopian society that actually exists. And it's after that period of time that everybody is reduced back to tribalism, primitive, low speaking tongue, and a convoluted understanding of what the last epoch was, when there was all this technology. Right. And and it's basically saying, well, that's not going to be a good life either, because there's going to be raiders and you're defenseless. Your tribe's going to get slaughtered, because there's a scene. Tom Hanks is a main character for this scene, for the super future stuff. Right. And this other guy, played by one of those British pretty boys, but they made him look like a savage, like a Mad Max savage. Right. Hugh Grant, I think it was Hugh Grant played this guy. It's probably really, I was like, that's Hugh Grant? I think it was
right.
And so like he slaughters like a whole bunch of people in his tribe, and then he has to deal with him. I can't remember how it all went down or whatever, and he has to go through this whole ordeal, and then his answer is to go with a futuristic character that looks like Halle Berry to another planet, because they're kind of like these good guys from a high-tech civilization that come and there's so much convoluted shit that's going on. It does throw you in, here's the green wild world, but it's completely unsafe because there are savage people out there, and you're being tormented by your own demons, because Hugo Weaving plays the voice of
course they bring him back in the same
of a tormentor in Tom Hanks.
They keep bringing the same people in. That's the thing, they keep trying to make this thing where it's all these different aspects, but it always ends up convoluted. They don't know how to do it. They keep unraveling all these different ideas and stories. It's like kids getting a hold of a science project that's perfectly set, and they keep monkeying with it and screwing it up, and it doesn't work right. They just can't get it to work right. But I think it's interesting, because one of the main goals of Warner Brothers and Disney is to convince us that we're all dark and all evil at our core. And when push comes to shove and a scarcity of resources, food for our family, things like this, we will turn on each other. See, in my screenplay, what I was given to do, what I felt right, was to show that we can be a better world where we will work together and help each other. And that's who we are, humanity at our core. They don't want that, because their basic philosophy was that they were giving me was, well, what's in it for us if we go with your story? You know, what's in it for us? So they're going to turn that narrative and where they get to benefit a world where everyone is dark and everyone is considered suspect, everyone is guilty.
Well, they're propagating the way the opposite side of the system through education, guidance through therapy and early childhood development is putting people into those boxes, which also initially works with making you think small, right? Exactly. When Immortals was turned into the Matrix, the whole idea of like, I can overcome the great evil through the expansion of my consciousness and tapping into the greatest powers of myself, to go and do something good in the world.
Exactly.
That was all the stuff that got me turned on. I walked out of that movie theater and I said, the only way you could screw up this film is if you didn't make a sequel. That was my attitude in 1999. All right. That's how hooked I was on the film. I was addicted for a sequel before the fucking end crawl.
Yeah. Well, I want to throw something out too that goes along with this idea that you just brought up is look at their core thinking. They're like nerds in Hollywood. And then we pick on I use the definition of nerd as them, how they embody themselves.
That egg-headed bullshit in intellect without the intelligence, if you will.
Right. And what do they say is that mentality? What's the main goal of the Hollywood nerd mentality? Is to have sex. That's it. So what you're doing is they're putting that on all of us, that's it. That's why the sex rave thing going on that he added in my screenplay. I'm sorry, but there are, not to gender this, but there are males that want to do good and benevolent work. And we actually think that feeding the kids and taking care of the elderly and making sure animals are safe and doing great creative work is more important than having the sex right then. It's like everything has its place. And maybe we're the ones that think that sex in a really good situation where it's a mutual thing, where we're celebrating and we're doing more than just having sex. We're laughing and getting things accomplished and succeeding and celebrating together and things like that. Maybe there's a balance that's better than being the Hollywood nerd. Let's get sex in a cave. They don't think beyond it. And then they push it on the rest of us that this is how we all are. This is our main thing. And if push came to shove and there's scarcity in the cave, we're going to kill each other for the resources.
Yeah.
No, I think I'll be down there trying to help, see if we can portion out and everybody survived. And if somebody's really hurting, even if they're helpless, and I can take advantage of them, I think I can still try to help them, and be a good person. So they have a twisted, skewed version of what humanity is.
Yeah. I mean, there's the issue of like a large crowd turned into a mob or whatever, and they're kind of like, there's moments where people can choose to kind of give themselves over to the mob, and those are just moments, and they're dark moments, and sometimes you are blindly contributing to a problem, or you are working within it to be a part of the problem. And most of those people are just kind of contributing to the problem just because they're kind of like, with the whole vibe, and then it's over, and then they're not like following like kind of like that protocol because it really wasn't what they thought it was going in. And like, it's just like, there's people that do wrong unconsciously, and there's people that do wrong consciously. And you have to know, the difference, because there's some people, they need to be scalded. And then there's other people that need to be yanked off of this entire fucking dimension.
Well, I put them on an island somewhere. They can tear each other apart like little flies. But the thing is, like, that's the thing I'm talking about is like, it's like they nerdify everything, take it down. Like Sophia Stewart that was brought in. Like she was a practicing witch in Manhattan, brought to Warner Brothers to work in there. And she's saying that the Matrix is all about the penis and that Frankenstein's all about the penis. What are you talking about? Can you imagine me getting on here and saying, I wrote the Immortals because it's all about the vagina?
Oh, man.
Well, the definition of Matrix is womb. So that's another inversion of that bullshit.
Again,
Totally.
they're simplifying everything stupid. And it's like, it's so dumb. It's like a relationship. I just want to put it out here. Here's my thinking as the Neo character when I fleshed Neo out, is that he's not thinking about, oh, I can't wait to have sex with my wife again. He's reprogrammed his home and everything to her voice and her mannerisms because he misses her, not her breasts or her ass. He misses her, the soul, the being, the beautiful person she was. He's obsessed about the person, the partner that she is. And in my world, Neo and Trinity would have been something where they might get together and have a moment where they're laughing together and they may kiss each other, but they don't have to have a full-blown on orgy in order to feel like they're satisfied. They may walk away feeling very happy just to have held each other in their arms together and looked into each other's eyes, which I'm sure is very scary to the Wachowskis and anybody in Hollywood to have that kind of intimacy, which doesn't need to be full on. Look what I did. Here's my trophy wife.
Yeah, because they think below the belt and all that stuff, and yeah, honestly, those moments melt my heart. And I did a live stream of people criticizing the Matrix and like, oh, why wasn't there more like sex scenes, this and that, idiot commentary. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, these people have been traumatized beyond your fucking imagination. So shut the fuck up and try to understand the context of the story. And on all this, you know what I mean? So it's like, wow. Like,
I remember in 2021 giving that film that came out a fair. It was one of the Marvel films. Wait, was it called was it the Immortals Marvel film? The one where they with the giant celestial god that they were all
from the comics. Yeah.
I think that
horrible movie though.
Immortals. Horrible movie. And I just remember in like the first third or whatever, they had a really saucy sex scene. And I remember calling out in the theater. It's like, bro, I'm not that invested. It's just like, I didn't care about their relationship at all. It was horribly set up. And then it's one of the few times I've sat through a sex scene in a film that made me feel ultra cringy. And it wasn't like, Toxic Avengers where it's supposed to be cringy.
Right. The same thing goes with the violence, use of violence. And it's like gratuitous violence. Use violence if it's integral to the storytelling. If you have no other way to tell your story than with that violence there to make the impact of the story being told, then use it then. The Wachowskis, they take the violence, and Warner's attorneys accuse me of, you got violence in your film, you got violence throughout it. The violence in here is necessary. I sometimes wept when I wrote this stuff, and the violence is there because it's for the story's sake. It's for the audience's sake. It's not for me just to feed violence. And when they do it, it's like, what's the point? I got sick, and I tried to explain to their attorneys, I got nauseous, I had to walk out when I first saw The Matrix. 4 times I walked out. I tried to watch it through when I was told to. It was just like, because it was just violence for violence sake. Like they're trying to be cool. Look what we're doing. Their mentality seems to be, we're going to do something never seen before. We're going to do this violence a new way. Like they told Will Smith, well, shots showing it all around and different angles. The whole thing was a disaster. Now Warner Bros. Is waking up that it's a disaster, right? And if you see the actual script, Wachowskis wanted to try their hand at Matrix 2. Let's go back to after Matrix 1. It's interesting they're saying in Matrix 5 now, they're going back to Matrix 1. The Wachowskis tried to write Matrix 2. They didn't expect Matrix 1 to be successful, right, off my script. But when it was, they're told, we're going to make it 2. We're going to milk this cow. We got to make the money off this, right? The Joel Silver thing. Les Grossman. So they try to write it, and they do such a bad job, they had to scrap it. Now their attorneys on tape are saying there were no working drafts. Well, they did write one. They wrote one for Matrix 2, but it was so badly done. And in that's the one where they open with the motorcycle ride. Trinity's holding on Neo on the motorcycle. You can imagine the Wachowskis in the clip you just saw pitching this, right? And the motorcycle's being shot, and it disintegrates in the air while they're still riding through the air. So the motorcycle falls apart, and she's still holding on to him, riding through the air. Cool, huh? That's the opening scene. And then what happens is the Smiths resurrect this Neo clone, and he's called Gregory, and then they train him to take Neo on. We did it. Now let's make Plastic Man and Carnivore. It was so bad they didn't do it. Now, why they named the clone Gregory? They named Neo Thomas A, and they named the clone to take him on Gregory, the antithesis of Neo. Well, because my best friend Greg is the one that wrote this battle sequences with me. We pitched it together to Warner Brothers. So Greg and I pitched together, gave it to Warner Brothers, the other rendition, where this one right here, the battle sequences, he helped me do it. And so they have Gregory facing off with Thomas A. Yeah. They're so dumb.
Wow.
They're looking for any way to be clever. They keep sticking all this stuff. But just think of it just for a moment, one more time. I want this really to land. Where in any film the first graphic made has the author's high school? I know I'm being redundant, but we need to hit this home.
Mm-hmm.
Wachowski's putting in the author's high school in the first graphic when they say everything's in for a reason. The author's name, the author's fiance's birthday, his birthday, his dad's name, TA 4099, his marital status. What? What is the mathematical probability of that being a coincidence? And then in Animatrix, putting the exact birthday on the screen? Please let it sink in, world. Let it sink in.
Yeah.
Think of the mathematical probability. Just move the hand 1 degree and it's off.
Yeah, and they went out of their way to make it a 4-hand clock.
Yeah. What is that red hand pointing to? Like we said, 4 past the 4. Tom Althouse was 44 in 2003 when the graphics made, because they're rubbing in the age. So 44 is on there. The age is in red. You also have the 7/2/59. Great.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I find it interesting also.
44 hasn't been bad so far. What can I expect in the next 8 months, Tom? Let me know.
Well, a red 4, again, a red 4, right? A red 4, a red hand pointing to a 4 means assassination. The Wachowskis have their wish list.
Yeah.
Take this man out so that we don't have to look over our shoulder and cash in on the project, right?
Tom, you and I, 59.
There you go.
Yeah, 59.
And that's what I'm saying. This whole age thing is insane because we are all babies.
Yeah.
And geoclimate and stuff, we are just babies. We really do. That's why this longevity thing. And what kills me is the program's coming in. The Tower of Babel is complete. Man and woman defeat death, right? Man's greatest enemy, the thing they never could get around. So yeah, it's big to them and to the world. They've got the short people outside the program. They're supposed to think, I don't want to live forever. I just want to live the regular lifespan. Well, what is a regular lifespan when you have perfect health and maybe we were made to live a long time? Right. Would you want to just cash in? What are you going to do? Just go in the hospital or go to home and say, okay, it's time now. I'd like to die. What if the general age was 30? Would you want to should we catch up right now and just end our lives right now? Because I want to live a normal lifespan of 30. 30 was a normal lifespan back in the day. You know? Well, I don't want to live any longer. Come on, I want to live a normal life. When it's offered, when you have the longevity, a normal lifespan is going to be basically endless. And it's going to also be health, no degradation. You're going to be able to be sharp, experience, create. I think I could feel that in my life. I could feel it. And I think it'd be wonderful to have a relationship where we go on and on. I don't think I'd ever get bored with her. I don't think I'd ever get tired. I think I would love to be there and service and be serviced and just give to each other for millenniums. I would love that. I think that's a romantic story where the best moment we have really might be just looking in each other's eyes and me saying, you're an amazing woman. And she says, you're a good man. And that moves me. And I say, that's great sex, if that's what they're going to call it. So.
Well, yeah, I think,
I'm with you.
yeah, I think that like, the theme with that they always go with immortality is it's like the loneliness factor. You know, it's like interview with the vampire. I don't know. I'm Mandela affected about it.
That's a great movie, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like that's one of the big ones that demonstrates that,
Right.
you've got the little girl who's been alive for a bazillion years and she's crazy. And then, you got the guy, it's just like, his wife didn't become a vampire. And so he's all alone and she died a long time ago. And like, it's always playing off that trope.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And they make it that it's going to be a terrible thing. That's what's in the Immortals. The Immortals try to convince the shorts outside the program that it's great to have your religion and then to die a short life. That's good. Meanwhile, they do the Hunger Games in the screenplay where they bring the shorts in to fight to the death, where they may merit the program, their families and their children fight to the death for their entertainment. And because they don't face death, they found it fascinating. And so you can merit the program 2 ways. Enter the Hunger Games. It's before Hunger Games was made. They lifted it right off the screenplay, the stadiums and everything, where there's people outside the program fight for the entertainment. It's all there.
Damn.
And then you also have the train station where you can beg, borrow, steal to get your child in the program. You'll never see them again, but maybe they'll have a better life in the Immortal program if somebody takes them in and adopts them and gives them up kinder transport. And what did the Wachowskis do with it? They told their fans, the little girl's just a subplot. That's it. That's all that's written there on the train station. The train station is worth a novel. Mm-hmm. There's so much to say about the train station when you're actually the writers of it, when you're actually the ones that are invested in it, when you're ones that are using it to set up the satisfying ending in the end. But if you're the Wachowskis, I guess it's just a subplot.
Yeah. So, getting your kids on a train to go and join their Immortal program. To bring up anime again, I'm going to bring up something obscure that.
Great.
But if you're a Daft Punk fan, if you're on that trip, then you'll actually know it, and that's Galaxy Express 39 was a movie in the late 80s made out with anime, and you're in this whole galaxy, and there's a planet that will turn you into a robot so you can live forever. And the boy, his backstory is his mother is killed by an aristocrat who hunted his mother for sport. This aristocrat was an immortal with a robotic body. For the sake of revenge of his mother, he wanted to have that immortal body so he could fight the guy who killed his mother. And so he goes on this trip, and he learns these lessons as he leaves Earth, and he goes across the different planets on the stop of this space train called the Galaxy Express. And each planet teaches him little lessons. And by the time he reaches the machine planet, he's a different person because he's going through the hero's journey. And it gets right into the soul and transhumanism question. That's a really awesome anime that I think a lot of people ought to watch. Galaxy.
What's really funny with you saying that is I'm actually working on an anime thing, like a manga thing, and it's like my promise to the world quietly was that if we get justice back, make this, then I'll bring it forward. Otherwise, I won't. I want it to be brought in the world that's right, where people are working together, care about each other, and value each other. And then I'll bring my work forward in that world. But if it's the other world, I'm not going to bring it into that world. They'll just twist it and turn it. So that's what I'm doing now. I got 16 other screenplays that are buried, so they can't be taken because Disney wants them. They're all very unique. I'm fascinated by them. I would cry, laugh when I'm writing them and stuff. And I'm blown away by them. But they're not coming into this world. If anything happens to my last son, they're not coming in this world. And Disney was harping on me to give them over and show them. I said, no. I released ideas on one of them. And so that was to even Roseanne Barr. I told her about it. And I said, this one out of the 16 I will allow to be released. But I am working on an anime that's I'm really thrilled about. But it's only for the world if we all do get this around. So I do feel like Neo in my own story, my own character, because he is reluctant to go forward and finish the job, but he can't do it alone. And I can't do it alone. They got me pinned down. They screwed me in court huge. And unless I have a team coming forward in the court of public opinion to bring this forward, I can't do this on my own. I'll stay true. But if you give me the tools and you guys, if people out there actually make it possible, I'll do my part. I'll do my part, and I'll do it well. And I'll give the knowledge I have, and I'll complete the work. And I will do it very well. But I can't do it alone.
I think if you hold everything together, you keep it organized, you understand the experience, at least on to making a film and all that. Just make sure that you've got that resource access point for people and money and things to come to you, because I think you'll get it. It's just about the right people that are interested on working with you on some level, and it'll get there.
Right. I agree with you. And it definitely needs to be the right people. They have sent me so many different teams over these years that then pull the rug and try to farm what you have. And it's like, I have to be very careful now. I need the right people to set it up. And I know that the other side's so lazy. They want you to do all this stuff. So if the right people come together and set it up, it'll be the culmination of the dream of the piece, why it was written. And that'll mean it came true. And I'll step into that world, definitely. And I'll do my part completely. I'm ready. And it's like, and the thing is, we can definitely turn this world around 100%. And I've been trained. I know exactly how they work, how they think. They're super afraid that I'll be able to come forward and do it. I mean, think of it along these lines. I was groomed to lead in the cabal, and I said no. And I'm perfect, but I don't want to lead outside the cabal. I want to be part of a great team outside the cabal. Right. I don't want to lead in either side. Yeah. I want to be part of a great team. And I will be a good part of that. And so if this can come together, I'm in. Count me in. And I'll do it.
Yeah. Didn't I hear that you are going to be talking to Roseanne Barr? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, Roseanne, her son Jake just booked me, and it's on August 19th. So I'll be going to her place in Blanco. Wow. And which I'll have to be careful on the highways, because that's where they go for you all the time.
Gotcha. Oh, but, so you're gonna be in studio with her.
I'll be in her studio August 19th. And she just sent me this. I'll show you this. It's pretty cool. One second. I'll show you what she just sent me today, or yesterday, or today. Today she sent me that. But here's what she wrote. I thought this was really profound. So she sent this to me. So Roseanne sent, I'll read it to you. It says, time to stop hating the fake world of Satan and love the real world of God. Create, create, create. So she's wanting me, she says, I want you to be a part of the network. I want you part of the team. Come back to source is all we need to do. All need to do that. She's talking my language that I have in the Immortals. And so, and that create, create, create. So she's very interested in the movie, the one movie I told you about, one of the 16, and that I did share. And so to make it.
The off-Broadway one.
Well, that's the play. That's my Matrix for the stage, basically, which I'm really thrilled about, which I would do a table read in a heartbeat on that one, totally. I want you guys to hear that one. If you set it up, I'll bring it, because it's what Disney is ruling over. But the other one is a screenplay one. And that one is basically an extension of what Matrix 2 should have been. And it will blow your mind, I guarantee you. Because even if Matrix blows the mind in stolen form, wait till you see what this one does. And I'm not trying to brag, I'm just trying to set the stage, is that it will make it so people cannot say, that's a bad guy, that's a good guy, that's a bad girl, that's a good girl. They won't know. You won't know. And that's what the industry tells me, like some of these studio heads said, that you influence the industry on this idea that there's such an arc with characters now. They did in Lost 2 and others where, you see dislike them, then you kind of like them, then you fall for them, you understand them. That's a large part of my work. And so when you go with this one, you don't know what to think. And I can't go too far. Off air, I can tell you.
Sure,
It's like my mind's blown. My mind's blown. And is it coming from, like Rosanna said, sources? Yes, this is coming from a source, and we're being given another gift. And
in Miyazaki films, because I love anime, so I'm citing it again. He was always amazing in his storytelling, where the antagonist is almost never evil, right? Making bad choices, perhaps even needs to be defeated in a very, very serious way. But It's like you watch Mononoke Hime, Princess Mononoke, right? The best level of villain you could basically say is the woman who runs Irontown, right? And at the end of the day, she's an effing hero to very good people in Irontown and doesn't understand the complex situation she's doing, as well as the fact that she's a little careless about the environment and thus pissing off all of the nature spirits, right? And so the hero is trying to be this supreme diplomat between fighting parties and trying to help, because the spirit world has natural law that it is following and will destroy humanity for violation of natural law. And man is trying to do things and can't help but break natural law, and there's too much enabling by the leadership, who is just trying to do absolutely right by the people that they are responsible for. And that's like part of the slice of reality that, with the exception of the evil ones, that's usually the real struggle between real people in the world.
Right. On this one, you've got a situation where a lot of it, how do I describe it without saying it? It's like people in the audience, I guarantee you what's going to happen is when they see it, you're going to have people screaming, no, no, no. And you get people going, yes, yeah. It's going to make the audience explode into all kinds of feelings, internalized, wrestling with it, because you don't know and you're going to switch up. In the same moment, you'll be feeling two different things. It's meant to do that. It's meant to do that. And I guess I could say it on the air with the premise. They'll take it right away, though. But it's like, it's hard. I want you to know, though. But it's like, God, it was a gift. It was such a gift. And what happens to me is I'm the first one to get to experience it. And I cry and laugh and I'm putting it down. I'm like, oh my God, I get to experience it. And the horror to me is that 16 of these, I may be the only person that ever experienced this. And it lifts humanity. It drives humanity. It nurtures you. It does all these amazing things. And it may have to go to my grave with me. I'm the only one that ever saw these. That's a horrific thought to me. Because the world's not ready. Mm-hmm. It's not ready. It's a horrible world. And it could be such a beautiful world like that. Just with a mind change. Just with the right people calling the shots. And those right people have what the code says in the Immortals, which got twisted in the Matrix. Cross disciplines. Compassion. Intellect. Heart. Coming together. And we can solve everything so fast because we're not asking the question, what's in it for me? That doesn't even come to us. We're asking, how can I help? What can I do? I'll stay late. This is great. I appreciate you guys. You're a good man. You're a good woman. Humanity is amazing. All life matters. Beings are beautiful. Let's keep working. I don't even want to go home.
I feel you, brother. And I feel like, hey, ready or not, mother lovers, things just have to be told. Stories need to be unfolded in all these things, because a lot of people want to act like, they know what's up, they're cool, they took the red pill and all this shit, right? Yet, they don't want to do the real fucking inner work to, really cultivate that proper compassion with that, heart-based intelligence and that compass, to really have them navigate properly, in cooperation with each other, and avoid the fucking agents in the Matrix and not be succumbed to being infiltrated and becoming one of them, or whatever the fuck kind of metaphor people want to throw in there in regards to all that, right? So, yeah.
You know what?
I know we got like 15 minutes, pretty much.
Well, let me tell you something. I just got to get something. You guys are so beautiful,
Cheers.
so amazing. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to do it right now. Why not? So watch for this to come out later, okay? Watch for it to come out later, and let me give you one of the cores of the 16, all right? Because they don't know how to write it anyway. They'll do it badly, probably Christopher Nolan. here's how the one works. In the future, you have a organization where the idea is that elite members, and this probably will come to pass like Neuralink, they have an organization where if your loved one is facing terminal illness, that you are allowed to come, bring your loved one, and they'll be given, if they were a horrible person and done these terrible things, they're given the memories of a benevolent person in their dying moments, that they actually believe they were good as they pass away. What happens is the one gentleman is given these memories when he's dying, but he actually had put a hit on this one woman's husband who was good, very, very good. So he has his memories now. He starts to believe, he survives, and he starts to believe that he is that man and seeks out that woman. And this woman ends up in a dichotomy situation where this man actually speaks to her like her wonderful husband did and acts like him, has the memories of him, and believes he's him. And it turns out later she finds out this is the man that set up the murder of him. And so now she's left with a part of her husband who seems to be him. And the reason audiences be screaming at the screen and stuff is she actually falls in love with this man. She does. That's all that's left of the man she knew that was so kind and beautiful. And so this man actually does work to bring down the system. He does work. He is the embodiment of him that was good, even though he was so evil. And he does work and does love her with the inputs that he's had. So you see where the audience gets torn. And so that's basically the core of the piece. This one piece is that I thought it was really cool because it's like, put yourself in the woman's shoes, the wife's shoes. This man did terrible things, but he's got the heart of the man she loved. Should she love him? And he's dedicated to doing everything he can to make it right. Now, what happens in the film itself, one of the things that happen is I leave it alternate, like I believe in alternate endings. I'm going to do films in the future. If I survive all this and get my way, I'm going to have films with alternate endings. Now watch them do this too. So what happens is you'll come and see this film. And in one version, audiences will see where he takes himself out in the end because he realizes what he was and doesn't want to do this as a woman anymore. In another version, you may be the audience that goes in and sees him survive this situation and they have this wonderful life and it goes on further. So I'm giving the idea that audiences will go to the theater and not know which ending they're going to see and how it plays out. That way they might want to go back and see it again, And it also puts the idea that, like you said about the laws of nature, right? You're talking about laws of nature and how we abide by the laws of nature, that the idea is that let's think outside of what's possible. And by seeing films like this, we could envision different ways. And what happens in films, audiences put themselves in the shoes of the characters and rethink their lives. So when you go see a bad ending, it was a bad ending, a rough ending. When you go see the happy ending, it was a happy ending. Your life, you decide what's going to happen, And after all that's happened to me, one of the things I've been thinking recently was, if people look at my life and all the horror and everything that was taken, maybe they'll go, my life's not as bad as Tom. I can keep going. And that gives me hope and keeps me going, is that maybe people will look at me and go, if Tom can keep going, I can keep going. And that makes me feel like I have a purpose, that having survived all this and staying true mattered. So will I get my work back? That depends on people. Will these other films be made? That depends on people. No one's out of the ability to make a difference. Everybody is in the game. Everybody's a part of this life. And it's up to you what the ending's going to be. And that's one of the reasons I came up with this idea of alternate endings. All endings up to you.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was thinking to myself, like a lot of video games do alternate ending stuff now in very sophisticated ways. A lot of like role-playing games where various different choices then have their causal cut scenes later on in gameplay. Then of course Clue, the Immortal Clue with Tim Curry and gang.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's why
that is great. Yeah.
Audiences don't have a choice in this one, do they? So in this one, like in video games, you're right, they have a choice. What happens makes a difference. In this way, it's going to be what it's going to be, what you fell into. And that feels like a lot of times what life is. Like a lot of times it feels like it's out of our hands. And why was fate, the Vikings, they talk about fate and all this stuff. And it's like, why was I handed this? Well, it's like, that's what audiences are going to walk away with. This is what you were given. Yeah, you paid your ticket and it ended this way. But life is like that. One of the things I was introducing in the film too was that you see this done in Lost and everywhere else all the time now, was I was trying to say to them during the pitch session that even your most loved characters could pass away for any reason at any time, like life. They didn't like that. They said, no, your heroes have to last to the end. I said, why? Why not show them what life is? Why not surprise them with, it doesn't have to be a glorious ending with guns blazing. It could be they tripped and fell. It could be something so mundane and we lost our person we loved.
Yeah.
That's life.
They live. And they live. You lose Roddy Piper and you lose Keith David, right?
They caught on to it. They caught on to it, didn't they?
Yeah.
And now they're doing it. They're doing it a lot. But they still don't, they're like babies. They still don't have a handle on it yet.
Right.
But there's still reasoning behind the character going out. You can still have a poignancy for other characters involved in that. Yeah. It sends them down a trail.
You can make a bold decision of having a main character, and then the plot twist is that he dies, and now you emerge a secondary character as a main character.
Well, that's what I'm doing in that film that I described, one of the 16. This man, could be a woman, but this man is somebody that you open that film with going, I love this guy. I love this guy. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see that anything happen to him. And very early on, gone. And then
you gotta give him the George R.R. Martin treatment. That's the way it works.
Yeah. So now, that's right. So now you have the grieving going on, basically with the public in a sense, grieving as the audience, where you see why now, because in comes, it's the wife's story. It really is the woman's story, and character driven, and all their stories matter. What's funny about J.R. Martin, whatever, is that he was in-house at Warner Brothers, given the work assignment to mock this very author. Game of Thrones is filled with a mockery of me, all through it. I'm not doing that for an ego boost. I'm not doing that for attention. He was in-house at HBO Warner Brothers. He was in-house, and he was an employee given the work to write. And it became a great story because he was actually working off the idea of mocking the author. And they filled it in there. It's all through there. Someday we can go over all that's in there. Wow. It made a great story because they were driven by that task. It got rid of writer's block when you're on a path of you're doing this for this reason. And so it kept them with a thread tied together. It tied together and it was character driven.
Wow.
So someday I can tell you about all the things that are in there. It's mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing.
Does that don't spend a lot of time on it because I want to make sure that everybody gets their closures. Because
especially Mario, I haven't heard.
You can wrap up.
Yeah. I just want to know: is that an insight as to why he can't finish Game of Thrones as a book?
What happens again. It unravels, and you don't need the source material anymore. So what's going on is like Oblivion. They weren't going to finish them out. They said blatantly, we're not going to finish it because we won't need it anymore, right? So what they're doing is they're lifting off everything. And I wish I don't have time to tell you it all, but when I spell it out, what they put in there and why they did, it's pretty ruthless. And it wasn't him writing it. It was a team writing it. A team wrote it with him, just like the Wachowskis.
Okay.
But they give him the credit so he would have that power and influence in the public. So, and you know what they say about writers like that? He's really going to get laid now. He's really going to get laid. That's what they say. Again, they put that mentality. You know what I hope they say about me? He's really going to meet some amazing people together with him. don't say I'm going to get laid. I just say that I'm going to meet amazing people with great minds, and the work merited that. Then I'll get to meet other great minds. That's what I want, so they can keep their getting laid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marja, you got 5 minutes.
Yes.
All right.
This has been an incredible experience for me. Tom, my hat is off to you. And I'm in your corner in my own particular way, doing what I do. And I really see your vision coming through.
Thank you.
I don't know how it's happening. It's happening. The time is really, really ripe. And I want to thank you, Zerilath. I want to thank you, Derek, for inviting me. I didn't have much to contribute, but it's like I feel like the holding space for the possibility of birthing the vision, birthing it in its entirety, in its purity, is just like it's so critical, and it really aligns with everything that I'm all about in the entirety of my life since I was born, the same year you were born. Yeah. And so I'm finding this to be just really inspirational, because amidst all of the yaya gaga zaza out in the world, there is that alignment of creativity that is really, it's aching to be birthed. And, as Derek would say, that this is synchronicious. And so thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying that too. I just felt such a swell in me when you talked about, being original vision being made and stuff too, because that was supposed to be a gift to the world where we can go the right, like come together, be brought together through it, and everybody has their opinion on it, immerses themselves in it, fills their own story into it, which is exactly what they've been doing, ripping it off. But it's like we all come together through it, and that way I can make the other work, bring it forward. And I want these other stories to be shared, and it'll be a world that I will release them in. So if we can get the original vision in, it defeats them completely.
Yes.
And it actually opens the door for them to make a good choice and join a better world.
Well, I'm personally enthusiastic in being involved with the table read stuff, and we should correspond about like how that will go down.
Okay, very good. I would travel for that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like traveling, like, yeah, that would be fun to travel. Like if it becomes like a big commit like that, because I was thinking like over like a Zoom panel and a live stream, that kind of thing. But
for first one, I would love to do something privately with a select group.
Okay.
Again, I don't want to see. They're about using up the rest of the story, and if I put the full story out there, then the experience of it is gone. And that's what they're saying about using up the rest of the story. If we have a private table read, it might be a way to actually get it made, facilitated.
It needs to be contained in a safe container.
That's
okay. All right, then
have the experience. I really do. So it's not a hide it, cover over thing. I've been flipping these pages all the time on the air.
Yeah.
It's at the copyright office.
Yeah.
But I do want people to have the experience, and that would be such a healing moment, I think, for the world to finally understand what it really means, and they'll be able to see how. I want to do like at some point a director's cut thing where you have actually overlays where you can see here this was lifted here, lifted here, lifted here, that you get to put it all back together, reverse engineer it back to the way it was, and see how it was taken apart badly. And we'll put it back together and have that car running the way it's supposed to run, and we'll be the drivers. Yeah,
I'm all for it. All right, I think it's about 6 right now, Derek.
Yeah, beautiful way to end it. Tom Althouse, thank you so very much to be with us in our presence and share anything that you wanted to get off your chest and heart. It's really heartfelt between all of us. So if anyone just wants to go around the ring of plug in whatever works in any ways people can get a hold of you, Tom, especially starting with you with any websites and all that stuff. And I know there's like traps of like people want to access your website, but like internet warnings, like no, this is a bad website, whatever the fuck, like goddamn, like Yeah, they really try to fuck with that.
What's interesting is they struck this, like Sophia Stewart called it one time, they struck the site, and the one Warner Bros. Executive resigned on the Red Pill one, gone. But here's the ones that are going up right now. We got the Real Neo story at outlook.com. That's going up with rockonamerica.tv. That one's going up. We've got the tomalthouse.com. Someone did it for me. And so that one's going up. And then we have our PayPal, which is at Reclaim Matrix, where we're going to be putting those funds into the film aspect, hoping to make the film. So those are the different sites right now. And still on Facebook. I'm blocked on Twitter, but still on Facebook. So yeah, because Elon doesn't like the idea to talk about the Neuralink.
Yep. Well, I'm supposed to be on X. This should be streaming on X right now. I wasn't checking my phone or anything like that, so Elon can shove it.
Nice. Yeah.
Yep. All right. I think we should probably get going. I know that Marja has to go right away and go save the day for somebody. So let's have it. We will talk again in the future. Tom Althouse, thank you. Marja, thank you. Derek, thank you. I think Derek, we can let it all go.
I suppose so. Thanks for tuning into this show.